Are you tired of letting your weaker self control your actions? The one that hits snooze, avoids hard work, gives up too soon, and keeps repeating the same mistakes. You know it's there. You've felt it taking over your days, your focus, your drive, but it doesn't have to stay that way. This video is a complete guide to help you break that pattern and take back control. You're going to learn how to face challenges directly, build real discipline, make decisions with confidence, and stay strong even when things feel uncomfortable. It's not about hype. It's about becoming someone who follows through, no matter how hard it gets. You'll walk away with the mindset and daily habits that push you forward without hesitation. So ask yourself, are you ready to finally stop holding back and start living like you mean it? Stay with me, because this is where the change really starts. Chapter 1. Reject comfort to grow your inner strength daily. If you want to build a life you're proud of, you have to start by doing something most people never do. You have to reject comfort. Not once, not twice, but every day, because comfort, while it feels good in the moment, will slowly steal your strength. It takes away your hunger. It weakens your will, and if you live there too long, it will convince you to settle for far less than you're capable of. Every day, there's a version of you that wants to take the easy way. It wants to sleep longer. It wants to avoid the hard conversations. It wants to escape responsibility. That version of you is not strong. That version is not honest. That version is not you at your best. It's the weaker version of you, and the longer you entertain it, the more it takes over your choices. You have to make a decision, not a someday decision, but a daily one. You have to say, I am not going to let comfort control my life anymore. Because the life you really want isn't found in comfort. It's found in the struggle to grow. It's found in discipline. It's found in the moments you choose action over excuses. That's where strength is built. People look for motivation, but what they need is a reason. A reason to wake up earlier. A reason to train harder. A reason to focus on their goals, even when they're tired. And that reason is this: you will never feel proud of yourself if you keep giving in to the weaker version of you. You will never feel proud if you keep saying, I'll do it later. You will never respect yourself if you keep letting the easy road become your only road. You don't grow when life is easy. You grow when life challenges you and you face it head on. You grow when you show up, even when it's uncomfortable. Growth doesn't feel good at first. It burns, it pushes you. But that's the point. Every time you reject comfort, you're building something that matters. You're building a stronger mind. You're building a stronger will. You're building a better life. Discipline doesn't just happen. It's not given to you. It's created by doing hard things when you don't feel like doing them. If you only move when you feel good, you're never going to get far. But if you learn how to move when it's hard, you'll go farther than you ever thought possible. Most people never change because they're too comfortable. They hate their situation, but they don't hate it enough to get up and do something about it. They complain, but they don't act. They talk, but they don't change. That's because comfort makes you passive, and passivity makes you powerless. You need to feel the difference between comfort and growth. Comfort keeps you the same. Growth makes you better. Comfort keeps you weak. Growth makes you powerful. And you can't live in both. You've got to choose. Are you going to live your days pleasing your comfort or building your strength? Every morning is a test. The alarm goes off. Your body says stay. Your mind says later. And your future says now. That's your moment. That's your decision. That's when you kill the weaker version of you by getting up, getting focused, and doing what needs to be done. The weaker version of you doesn't want structure. It wants chaos. It wants to live by feelings. It wants to scroll, snack, sleep, and repeat. But that version of you is not going to get you anywhere. You're never going to reach your goals by giving in to that voice. You silence that voice by doing the opposite of what it wants. You make the call. You go to the gym. You read the book. You stay disciplined. And you do it not because it's easy, but because it's right. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need more action. Action that hurts a little. Action that requires effort. Action that challenges who you've been. The more you reject comfort, the more you make room for personal power. Power to do hard things. Power to keep promises to yourself. Power to build a life that feels strong from the inside out. The weaker version of you will try to justify everything. I've worked hard already. I deserve to relax. One day off won't hurt. But that's the trap. That's the excuse. And the more you listen to it, the more control it has over your life. You have to look that voice in the eye and say, "Not today. I don't want easy. I want growth. I want results. I want to feel proud when I go to bed at night." Growth happens in the choices nobody sees. When you choose to work instead of wasting time. When you choose to keep going instead of quitting. When you choose to stick to your plan, even when distractions try to pull you away. That's how strong people are made. You want to feel different. Start acting different. You want to be stronger. Do the things your weaker self avoids. You want to respect yourself. Do things that earn your own respect. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up again and again and again, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. You will never become the person you were meant to be if you're always looking for the easy way. Strong people live by values. Weak people live by feelings. Values say get up and go. Feelings say stay here and rest. Values build a future. Feelings destroy your momentum. So you have to decide, what kind of life do you want? There is no success without pain. There is no growth without struggle. But there is also no pride without effort. And that's the payoff. Pride in yourself. Knowing you could have taken the easy way but you didn't. Knowing you had every excuse and still showed up. That kind of pride is worth every ounce of discomfort. Your future depends on the choices you make today. And every day you choose comfort, you delay your potential. Every day you choose growth, you move closer to it. It's not about being the best. It's about becoming better than who you were yesterday. That's the real win. People talk about confidence, but confidence doesn't come from talk. It comes from doing, from earning your own respect, from making promises to yourself and keeping them, from doing hard things and knowing you didn't quit. That's how confidence is built. Not through comfort, through consistency. You want a better body? Reject comfort. You want a stronger mind? Reject comfort. You want real success? Reject comfort. That's the cost, and the sooner you pay it, the sooner you start to see results. Stop waiting for motivation. Start building habits. Stop chasing comfort. Stop chasing purpose. Stop feeding the weaker version of you. Start feeding the stronger one by showing up every day and doing the work. That's how change happens. Not in one day, but in every choice, in every decision to reject comfort and choose growth. You don't need to wait for a new year or a new week. You don't need to wait for anyone to give you permission. All you need is to decide that today you're going to stop living for comfort and start building strength. That today you're going to stop letting the weak version of you call the shots. That today you're going to act with courage, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That version of you who wastes time, skips goals, makes excuses, avoids discomfort, it needs to go. You can't let it drive your life any longer. It's taken enough already. Now it's your time. Your time to take over. Your time to rise up. Your time to say, I'm done living below my potential. Because you were made for more. And the only way to reach it is by killing off the parts of you that keep holding you back. That comfort zone, that fear, that hesitation, that self-doubt. It all has to go. And it won't go quietly. But if you stay consistent, if you keep showing up, if you keep pushing past what's easy, you'll kill that weak version of you day by day. And what's left will be someone strong, someone focused, someone proud of what they've built. You're not here to stay the same. You're here to grow. You're here to evolve. You're here to live strong, think clear and act with purpose. And you do that by rejecting comfort and choosing strength. Daily, not sometimes, every single day. Because that's how you win the battle within. And that's how you become someone who truly earns their own respect. Chapter 2. Confront challenges to silence your weak inner critic. If you want to grow into a stronger, sharper, more capable version of yourself, you have to face something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You have to confront your challenges. Not run from them, not cover them up, not pretend they don't exist. You have to look them in the eye and deal with them directly. Because every time you back away, every time you avoid, every time you make an excuse, your inner critic grows louder and more convincing. That weak inner voice, that part of you that says you can't do it, that you're not good enough, that you're going to fail, it feeds on your silence. It thrives when you hide. If you want to shut it down, you have to act. The truth is, your inner critic has no real power until you give it permission. It's not the challenge that breaks you, it's the way you respond to it. If you keep turning away from difficult things, you're training your mind to believe you're not capable. And once you believe that, it becomes your reality. The mind is always watching. It sees how you handle stress. It notices when you pull away. It remembers when you give up. And that voice inside starts to sound like the truth. But the moment you face a challenge with full effort, whether you win or lose, you begin to change the story. You take power back. You weaken the hold of that inner critic by showing yourself that you're willing to act even when you're afraid. And that simple decision to show up and face it starts to build a new kind of voice. A stronger one. A voice that says, I can figure this out. I can handle this. I'm not going to let fear decide who I become. Avoiding hard things creates temporary comfort and long-term regret. Facing hard things creates temporary discomfort and long-term strength. There's a choice to make, and you're making it every day whether you're aware of it or not. Every challenge you avoid stays with you. It grows. It follows you into other areas of your life. It limits your decisions. And eventually it shapes your identity. You start thinking of yourself as someone who just isn't good under pressure. Someone who never finishes. Someone who cracks when things get real. That's not who you are. That's just who you've become. Because you listened to the wrong voice for too long. Challenges aren't problems. They are mirrors. They show you who you are right now. Not who you say you are. Not who you hope to be. But who you've trained yourself to be. If you avoid pressure, you're not building any mental strength. If you run from fear, you're not learning courage. If you stay small to feel safe, you're not growing. You're surviving, not living. The weak inner critic loves when you doubt yourself. It loves when you question your ability. And it loves when you walk away from something just because it's hard. That voice feeds on hesitation. It uses your fear as fuel. And the only way to shut it down is through action. Not planning, not talking, not waiting. Action. That's the language it understands. That's the only thing it respects. Every time you take action in the face of discomfort, you drain its power. And every time you avoid, you make it louder. You silence that critic by doing what it says you can't do. You speak back through your behavior. You don't have to argue with the voice. You don't have to explain yourself. You just have to show up and do the work. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to be willing. And if you keep showing up with that kind of attitude, that critic inside starts to lose its grip on you. There's a reason challenges feel heavy. They test more than your skill. They test your commitment. They ask one simple question: do you mean it? You say you want to improve, but do you mean it enough to go through discomfort? You say you want to be respected, but do you mean it enough to be disciplined when nobody's watching? You say you want change, but are you willing to pay the price? It's easy to look good when life is easy, but real strength shows when nothing feels good and you keep going anyway. The people who grow, the people who become leaders in their own lives, are the ones who face the uncomfortable parts of their journey instead of hiding behind distractions. They face what scares them. They face what makes them doubt. They face what they've been avoiding for years. Not because they're fearless, but because they understand that fear is not a reason to stop. It's a reason to go. The critic in your head will always sound convincing if you give it room to speak and nothing to challenge it. But it only speaks from what you've done before. It pulls evidence from your past. And the more you take on challenges today, the more you rewrite that evidence. You create new examples, new wins, new stories. That's how you change your self-image. You don't change it by reading quotes. You change it by doing things that force you to grow. You change it by confronting what's difficult and pushing through it, no matter how messy or uncomfortable it feels. You don't silence your inner critic by being perfect. You silence it by being courageous. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to stop running from them. Because every time you run, the critic gains ground. And every time you fight, even if you fall short, you send a message. I'm not backing down. You already know the areas where you've been avoiding action. You already feel the weight of the things you haven't faced. You carry that. It doesn't go away on its own. You carry it into your thoughts, into your self-talk, into your relationships. It eats away at your confidence. But when you turn and face those areas, when you finally say, I'm tired of being stuck, you start to feel different. Not because the challenge is gone, but because you've decided to deal with it. It's not about being fearless. It's about moving forward while fear is still present. It's about feeling unsure and still taking the next step. That's how strength is built. Not through comfort, not through praise, but through consistent confrontation with what's hard. You've been lied to if you think challenges are signs that something is wrong. Challenges are signs that you're being called to rise. They are opportunities to build proof that you are stronger than you thought. You don't find self-worth through comfort. You earn it by walking through fire. That's where pride is born. Nobody grows from staying the same. Nobody becomes powerful by doing what's easy. And nobody silences their inner critic by waiting for motivation. It's action that separates the weak from the strong. And that action starts with one choice. Stop running and start confronting. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now you already have everything you need to take the first step. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need a willingness to face what's holding you back. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of looking foolish, none of those things are stronger than your ability to act. You don't overcome them by thinking. You overcome them by moving. Take the risk. Make the call. Have the difficult conversation. Step into the unknown. You don't need to feel confident to begin. Confidence comes after. It's earned, not given. And it starts to grow the moment you choose to face what you once avoided. This is how you change your life. One challenge at a time. One confrontation at a time. One bold action at a time. And with each step, that inner critic grows quieter, weaker, less relevant. Not because it disappeared, but because you've stopped giving it control. You were not born to shrink. You were not made to hide. You are here to rise, to take on hard things, to build a mind and a body that reflects your potential. And that starts by facing what scares you. That starts by doing the work. That starts by choosing growth over safety every single time. There's no shortcut. There's no easier way. But the payoff is real. You wake up with clarity. You move through life with direction. You look in the mirror and respect the person staring back at you, because you know you've earned it. So stop feeding the voice that says you're not enough. Stop giving power to doubt. Stop making excuses that keep you small. Start facing challenges with full force. Start doing things that make you stronger. Start becoming the person you were meant to be. Not someday, but right now. That weak inner critic can't survive when you're on fire with purpose. It can't stand up to action. It can't argue with progress. So give it nothing to work with. Give it no reason to speak. Fill your days with so much growth, so much discipline, so much action that the voice simply fades out. This is your path now. Not the easy one. Not the comfortable one. The one that demands more from you. The one that challenges you to be better. The one that forces you to rise. And you're ready. You know it. Now it's time to act like it. Chapter 3. Remove excuses blocking your path to powerful action. If you want to move forward in your life, you must deal with one hard truth. Your excuses are in the way. They're not just small thoughts. They're the walls between you and everything you say you want. As long as you keep making excuses, you're choosing to stay stuck. You can't grow when you're constantly explaining why you haven't. Excuses are not facts. They are choices. They're stories we tell ourselves to feel better about not doing what we should be doing. And the longer you believe those stories, the harder it becomes to take powerful action. Excuses don't show up as loud voices. They don't knock on your door and introduce themselves. They hide in your language. They hide in how you think. They show up as "I'm too tired. I don't have time. I don't feel ready. I'm not like them. It's too late for me." And when you say them often enough, you start to believe they're the truth. But deep down, you know they're not. Deep down, you know they're the chains that keep you from moving forward. You have to call them out for what they are. Excuses are decisions to do nothing. Every time you make one, you've already chosen not to grow. You've already decided not to change. And that's why you feel stuck. Not because you're unlucky. Not because life is unfair. But because you've let those excuses win too many battles. It's time to stop giving them room in your mind. Nobody ever changed their life by waiting for better conditions. Waiting is just another excuse in disguise. You don't need the perfect timing. You don't need more energy. You don't need to be fully prepared. What you need is the courage to stop making excuses and start moving forward in whatever way you can. The people who make progress in life aren't the ones with perfect plans. They're the ones who take action without relying on perfect conditions. Every excuse has one goal: to protect your comfort. It tries to keep you safe from effort, from risk, from responsibility. But in doing that, it also keeps you away from progress, from growth, from everything meaningful. If you want real success, you have to reject the comfort that excuses offer. You have to break free from the lie that there's always tomorrow. There isn't. All you have is now. When you stop making excuses, you begin to see how capable you really are. You start to take ownership of your time, your choices, your effort. You stop blaming your past, your situation, other people. You stop looking for someone to rescue you. That's when you become powerful. Because the person who takes responsibility gains control. And the person who has control can make change happen. Look at your life. Look at where you are. If you're not where you want to be, ask yourself one honest question. What excuse have I been living with? It might be about time. It might be about fear. It might be about the past. But whatever it is, it has to go. You can't hold on to your excuses and expect to create a better future. You have to pick one. Your excuses or your goals. Your comfort or your potential. You can't have both. You don't need to convince anyone else to believe in you. You need to stop convincing yourself that you're not ready. Most of the time, excuses are just fear in disguise. You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of giving your all and still not making it. That fear is natural, but it's not a reason to stop. It's a reason to rise. The only way to beat fear is by doing the thing you're afraid of. And the only way to move past excuses is to act while the fear is still there. You're not going to wake up one day and suddenly feel ready. Readiness is not a feeling. It's a decision. You don't get more confident by waiting. You get confident by showing up, by trying, by failing, by learning, by improving. Confidence is built through action, not preparation. And the people who get ahead are not the ones who make the fewest mistakes. They're the ones who stop hiding behind excuses and start doing the work. The longer you protect your excuses, the longer they protect your weakness. Every time you say, "I can't," you reinforce that belief. Every time you say, "It's not possible," you close another door. Excuses shrink your vision. They cut down your options. They destroy your energy. You have to see them for what they are. Mental habits that keep you small. And like any habit, they can be broken. But you have to want to break them more than you want to feel safe. Stop saying you don't have time. You have time for what matters. If it's not a priority, just admit that. But don't lie to yourself and say it's about time. It's about choices. Stop saying you don't know how. You can learn, you can figure it out. You can ask questions. You can fail and try again. You've done it before. You're not helpless. You're capable. Stop saying you're too tired. You're tired because your energy is being wasted on things that don't matter. Excuses drain you. They wear you down. When you take action, you create energy. You build momentum. You stop surviving and start living. Action creates clarity. You won't figure it all out before you begin. But if you begin, you'll learn what works. You'll learn what doesn't. And that's how you grow. Sitting still with your excuses only brings confusion. Movement brings insight. Discipline brings peace. Work brings results. No one is going to push you harder than you push yourself. If you keep waiting for someone to come along and take your excuses away, you'll be waiting forever. Nobody can do that for you. This is your job. This is your responsibility. And when you finally remove those excuses, you will feel something powerful, a sense of freedom. Because now, nothing is stopping you. Now it's all on you. And that's not a burden. That's a gift. Excuses are heavy. They carry guilt, frustration, regret. But when you stop making them, you lift that weight. You make room for action. You make room for improvement. You start seeing the possibilities instead of the problems. You start feeling like you're in control again. And that's when you begin to grow. Don't let your past mistakes become your excuses today. Just because you've failed before doesn't mean you'll fail again. Just because you've been inconsistent doesn't mean you can't be disciplined now. You can start fresh. You can decide right now that your past will not be the reason you hold back anymore. The strongest people you see weren't born without excuses. They had the same doubts, the same fears, the same distractions, but they made a different choice. They chose to do the hard thing anyway. They chose action. They chose responsibility. They chose growth, and they paid the price. That's why they live with strength now. Not because life made it easy, but because they stopped letting excuses run their life. Start paying attention to your own language. Start noticing when excuses try to show up. Catch them, expose them, replace them. Every time you hear yourself say, "I can't," ask why not. Every time you say, "It's hard," remind yourself that's not a reason to quit. Every time you say, "I don't have time," ask where your time is really going. Every excuse has a pattern. Break it by changing your response. You have something important inside you. Potential, ideas, dreams, drive. But it's buried under your excuses. You have to dig it out. And you do that with honest work, with bold action, with relentless responsibility. You're not going to get there by hiding from it. You're going to get there by attacking what's in the way. Nobody cares how many reasons you have. What matters is what you do. Life rewards action. It respects effort. It notices the person who shows up, especially when it's hard. Excuses might comfort you for a little while, but they will never build anything lasting. They don't lead to results. They don't bring progress. They don't make you proud. If you want to feel proud of who you are, if you want to feel real power in your decisions, you have to take the long road. You have to do things you've avoided. You have to let go of the story that says you can't, and build a new one with every decision you make. You can either spend your life defending your limits, or you can break through them, but you can't do both. This is your chance to choose. This is your chance to take your excuses and bury them once and for all. You've wasted enough time explaining why things haven't worked. Now it's time to make them work. This won't be easy. Nothing worth doing ever is. But it will be worth it. Every step you take without an excuse adds to your strength. Every task you finish builds your pride. Every choice to act instead of complain sharpens your identity. You're not meant to stay stuck. You're not meant to stay small. You're meant to grow. And the only thing holding you back is the excuse you're still holding on to. Let it go and move. Move fast. Move strong. Move without apology. Your time is now. Your power is waiting. Your excuses are done. Chapter 4. Choose discipline over temporary pleasures every single day. If you want to build a life that means something, you have to make a hard but necessary decision every single day. You have to choose discipline over temporary pleasures. You have to pick what will make you stronger instead of what feels good right now. That's not always going to be easy. In fact, it's going to feel uncomfortable more often than not. But it's a decision that will separate you from everyone else who keeps starting and quitting, talking and never doing, wanting and never acting. Discipline isn't about being harsh, it's about being honest. It's about asking yourself what kind of life you want to live, and then doing the work that life demands, even when it's inconvenient. There's a voice in your head that wants the quick win. It wants the fast food, the scrolling, the extra hour of sleep. It wants pleasure without effort. That voice will always be there. It never gets tired of tempting you, but the more you listen to it, the further you drift from the version of you that you respect. When you choose temporary pleasure, you give away long-term pride. That extra hour of rest might feel good in the moment, but what does it take from you? It steals your momentum. It weakens your resolve. It creates a habit of softness. On the other hand, when you get up early to work, to train, to build, what do you gain? You gain trust in yourself. You gain results. You gain progress. And most importantly, you gain proof that you are in control. Discipline teaches you who's in charge. Every time you act with discipline, you remind yourself that feelings do not rule your life, decisions do. Most people live by emotion. If they don't feel like doing it, they don't. But feelings are temporary. They change with the weather. They're unstable. That's why building your life on them is dangerous. Discipline is the opposite. Discipline stays when feelings leave. It shows up when motivation disappears. It's the choice to act because the goal is important, not because the mood is right. You already know what happens when you give in to every small desire. You know what it's like to go another week without progress. You've felt the weight of regret, of missed opportunities, of wasted time. That doesn't feel good. It doesn't bring peace. It brings frustration. It brings self-doubt. And it grows louder the more you feed it with poor choices. The solution isn't complicated. It's simple. You make a decision to choose discipline again and again. You put your phone down when you want to scroll. You say no to distractions when your goals need your attention. You stick to your plan even when no one is watching. That's the daily work. That's how you build strength. Not with inspiration quotes or motivational highs, but with consistent action when it matters most. Every day is a test of how badly you want the life you say you want. There will always be easier options. There will always be something more comfortable, more enjoyable, more fun. But those things are a trap when taken at the wrong time. You don't need more entertainment. You don't need more breaks. You need more discipline. And discipline only grows when you deny the urge to quit and do the right thing anyway. When you practice discipline, you create a quiet confidence that no one can take from you. You don't have to say much. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Because inside you know you're doing what's required. You know you're not lying to yourself. That kind of power is rare. Most people have given up control of their decisions. They've made comfort the standard and wonder why they feel lost. You don't have to be like that. You can choose differently. You can create a life that reflects effort, not excuses. And that starts with one simple question: what matters more to me right now? The short-term pleasure or the long-term reward? Ask it every time you want to cut corners. Ask it when the bed feels warm and the gym feels cold. Ask it when your goals feel far away. That question will guide you. It will remind you of your standards. The more disciplined you become, the fewer regrets you carry, because you're living aligned with your vision. You're not chasing highs. You're building habits. And those habits are shaping you into someone dependable, focused, powerful. People will see the change in you. They'll notice the difference, but more importantly, you'll feel it. You'll feel proud, not just for what you've accomplished, but for the kind of person you've become in the process. Discipline doesn't mean you never rest. It means you rest with intention, not escape. It means you eat to fuel, not to numb. It means you delay the fun because you value the win. That's not suffering. That's wisdom. That's maturity. That's living on purpose. Pleasure fades. Discipline builds. Pleasure gives you a moment. Discipline gives you a future. There's a cost to both. With pleasure, the cost comes later. Regret, missed chances, wasted days. With discipline, the cost comes now. Effort, discomfort, focus. But the reward is bigger, and it lasts longer, and it makes you feel something pleasure never can, pride that you earned every bit of it. Start with one area of your life. Just one. Maybe your health. Maybe your finances. Maybe your learning. Take one thing you've been letting slide and bring discipline into it. Set a standard and refuse to lower it. If you say you'll work out 3 days a week, then work out 3 days a week. No matter what. If you say you'll stop wasting money, then track every dollar. If you say you'll learn a new skill, then block time for it like it's your job. Don't wait for motivation. Don't hope to feel inspired. Just act, and let action build your confidence. Let consistency build your momentum. Let results build your belief. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. It won't always be a fight. Eventually, discipline becomes your normal. It becomes who you are. And when that happens, you're no longer chasing success, you're becoming it. When the temptation to take the easy road shows up, remember what it costs you. Remember the empty feeling after giving in. Remember the disappointment of falling short. Use that as fuel. Use it to remind yourself why you're choosing differently now. You don't have time to waste. You don't have energy to spend on things that don't move you forward. You have goals. You have potential. You have a standard to uphold. You've spent enough time letting pleasure control your choices. It hasn't brought you peace. It hasn't made you stronger. It hasn't built anything solid. Now is the time for discipline. Now is the time to build a foundation that lasts. A body you respect. A mind you trust. A life that reflects your effort. That's what discipline gives you. Stop making room for distractions. Stop feeding the habits that slow you down. Start moving with purpose. Start choosing what will serve you long after the moment has passed. That's what separates the ones who grow from the ones who stay stuck. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's discipline. And that's a decision you make every day. This is how you change. You don't wait. You don't wish. You decide. You act. You repeat. You live by standards, not feelings. You train your mind to serve your goals, not your urges. You become someone who follows through. Someone who can be counted on. Someone who doesn't fold under pressure. Discipline gives you your life back. It hands you control. It clears the noise. It pushes you through the days when everything feels heavy. It makes you sharp. It makes you focused. It makes you reliable, and it creates a future you can be proud of. You have that power. Right now, you don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to start choosing discipline in small moments, over and over, until it becomes who you are. And once you do, everything changes. Your work improves. Your health improves. Your relationships improve. Because you're not operating on impulse anymore. You're operating on principle. You're building a life by design, not by default. You are not here to coast. You are here to rise. You are not here to waste your time. You are here to build something meaningful. And that will only happen when you stop chasing temporary pleasure and start practicing daily discipline. That's the way forward. That's the way to strength. That's the way to lasting success. Chapter 5. Face your fears and prove your courage consistently. If you want to grow stronger, sharper, and more certain of yourself, you have to face what you fear, not once in a while, not when it feels convenient. You have to face your fears consistently. That's how courage is built. It's not something you wait for, it's something you earn through action. Courage grows every time you do something that scares you and you refuse to let it stop you. That's how people change. That's how self-respect is developed. You prove your courage not by talking about it, but by showing up when it matters most. Fear doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. But what you do with that fear is what makes the difference between a life of regret and a life of power. Some people spend years avoiding what they know they need to do. They stay in their comfort zone. They protect themselves from discomfort. And in doing that, they lock themselves inside a life that never evolves. That's not freedom. That's a slow kind of failure. You don't escape fear by hiding. You escape it by walking through it. Courage doesn't always feel loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It's you standing up for yourself in a moment when it would be easier to stay silent. It's you choosing to try again after failing. It's you walking into the unknown without guarantees. That's real bravery. That's what it means to lead yourself. You don't need the world to tell you you're strong. You need to look at your own behavior and know that you did what needed to be done, even when it was uncomfortable. Fear will always look for a way in. It will always whisper the worst-case scenario. It will show you everything that could go wrong. But here's the truth. Most of the things you fear never happen. They live in your imagination. They grow because you feed them with inaction. The longer you avoid facing something, the bigger it feels. But once you do face it, you realize it wasn't as powerful as you believed. It's your movement that takes the power away from fear. It's your courage that puts fear in its place. The most important battles you'll ever fight are not external. They happen inside your mind. You face them when you sit in silence and confront what you've been running from. You face them when you choose to stop pretending. You face them when you stop lying to yourself and finally admit that fear has been running your life. That moment, when you finally say, "Enough," is the beginning of change. That's when everything starts to shift. You can't just wish fear away. You can't trick yourself into courage. You have to earn it by doing the hard thing again and again. You make fear smaller by making yourself stronger. You don't wait to feel brave. You take the action and let the courage grow after. Every time you prove that fear doesn't control you, you build a new standard for yourself. You raise the bar. You prove that you are more than your doubts. Fear is not your enemy. It's a sign that you're on the edge of something important. The people who achieve great things in life feel fear too, but they've trained themselves to move through it. They've decided that growth is more important than safety. They've made it clear to themselves that a small, safe life is not the life they're willing to live. You need to make that same decision. You need to draw a line and say, I won't let fear decide what kind of life I build. What are you avoiding right now? What conversation? What challenge? What decision? Whatever it is, you already know that facing it would make you better. You already know it's costing you time, energy, and peace. So stop letting it control you. Take one step, one call, one action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. That's how momentum starts. That's how strength is built. You weren't born to live scared. You weren't built to play small. You were made to grow, to move, to lead. But none of that happens while hiding. It happens when you put yourself in the fire and refuse to back down. It happens when you show up, even if your hands are shaking. It happens when you stop giving fear a seat at the table. There's a voice in your head that wants to keep you where you are. It tells you you're not ready. It tells you you'll fail. It tells you people will laugh. That voice has no power unless you give it power. You need to replace it with action. You need to prove it wrong every day. Not with words, with effort, with movement, with progress. Courage is a habit. It's something you build through repetition. You train it like you train a muscle. The more you face hard things, the more natural it becomes to act. And the stronger that habit becomes, the less fear can stop you. You won't be perfect. You'll still feel resistance, but you'll move anyway. And that's what makes the difference. Fear wants you to believe that taking the risk will destroy you. But the real destruction comes from never taking it. A life without courage becomes a life without progress. You don't learn, you don't stretch, you don't experience the fullness of what you're capable of. And that's a tragedy, because you have so much more inside you than fear wants you to believe. You owe it to yourself to find out who you are, without fear in charge. You owe it to yourself to step into the unknown and see what you're really made of. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You grow by challenging your limits. You grow by pushing past what's comfortable. You grow by showing yourself that fear doesn't decide the outcome, you do. Start small if you need to. Take the call you've been avoiding. Share your idea, even if your voice shakes. Say no when you've always said yes. Speak up for yourself even if you feel uncertain. These small moments add up. They change how you see yourself. They build your identity. They teach you that courage is available, but only if you take it. You don't need to eliminate fear. You need to learn how to live with it without letting it stop you. You need to build your life on values, not on emotions. Fear is just a feeling. It doesn't have the right to control your actions. You give it that right, or you take it away. That's your choice. There will be days when fear feels heavy. That's okay. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. You don't have to be fearless to take action. What matters is that you keep showing up. Keep proving to yourself that you can handle it. Because you can. You've handled hard things before. You've come through storms. You've made it through doubt. And you can do it again. Real courage is doing the right thing when it's the hardest thing. It's choosing truth over silence, growth over comfort, action over fear. And once you start living that way, you feel different. You walk with more confidence. You think with more clarity. You move through the world with more purpose. Fear is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be mastered. Everyone feels it, but not everyone uses it. You can use it. You can let it remind you that you're on the edge of growth. You can let it push you forward instead of hold you back. That's what powerful people do. They turn fear into fuel. Your life will change the moment you stop running. The moment you stop waiting for certainty, the moment you decide to face what's been holding you back, that moment becomes a turning point. You'll remember it. Not because everything became easy, but because you became brave enough to do the hard things anyway. The world doesn't need another person hiding behind fear. It needs people who are willing to live with courage, to speak the truth, to chase their vision, to take action when most people freeze. That's how you lead. That's how you grow. That's how you build a life worth living. You have the strength inside you. Not someday, right now. You just need to use it. One decision at a time, one act of courage at a time, one bold move at a time. And if you stay consistent, you'll look back and realize that fear didn't stop you. It shaped you. You'll feel the difference in your energy, your mindset, your progress. Because now you're not controlled by fear. You're driven by purpose. And that purpose is bigger than any fear you'll ever face. That's the life you deserve. A life of courage. A life of progress. A life where fear doesn't win anymore. Chapter 6. Demand greatness from yourself without seeking anyone's approval. You become powerful the moment you stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're good enough. You stop needing permission. You stop chasing recognition. You stop lowering your standards just to fit in. Your greatness doesn't need validation. It needs action. It needs truth. It needs your full effort every single day, whether anybody sees it or not. You have to learn how to hold yourself to a higher standard than the world ever will. You have to raise your own expectations and rise to meet them, not because someone else demands it, but because you refuse to live below your best. The world will always have opinions. Some will applaud you, some will doubt you, some won't even notice. That's fine. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them judge. You're not doing this for their approval. You're doing it because you have a responsibility to yourself to become everything you're capable of being. Living for approval is a trap. It pulls you away from your mission. It clouds your decisions. It turns your focus into noise. The moment you try to please everyone, you lose yourself. The people who reach real greatness are not the ones who try to impress the world. They are the ones who impress themselves by staying true to their values, by showing up when it's hard, by pushing their limits even when no one is watching. You don't need a crowd to become excellent. You don't need praise to be consistent. You don't need someone cheering for you to put in the work. That's what separates the strong from the average. Strong people build their identity from within. They don't need likes, claps, or compliments to know they're doing the right thing. Make it your goal to respect yourself. Make it your goal to look in the mirror and feel proud of how you think, how you act, how you show up. Stop seeking attention and start seeking mastery. Start seeking discipline. Start seeking truth. What matters is who you are when nobody's looking. What matters is whether you're living with honesty and responsibility. You can lie to others and fool the world, but you can't lie to yourself. And deep down, you know when you're slacking. You know when you're settling. You know when you're pretending to be more than you are. You don't need someone to hand you confidence. You need to earn it through hard work, through discipline, through high standards. You earn it by demanding more from yourself in silence. You earn it by being honest about your weaknesses and doing something about them. You earn it by setting a bar and refusing to drop it, no matter who's watching. That's how you build a foundation that lasts. That's how you build a life that makes sense to you, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. The minute you stop living for applause, you gain power. You stop bending. You stop shrinking. You stop comparing. You start building. You start growing. You start becoming someone who leads themselves, That's what self-respect is. It's not built by being liked. It's built by doing the hard things you promised yourself you'd do. And when you do those things consistently, something shifts inside you. You no longer need to convince people of your worth. You feel it. Your energy should go into progress, not into convincing. The world doesn't owe you recognition. It doesn't owe you attention. And chasing that is a waste of your time. What you owe is to become someone you admire. You owe it to yourself to stop playing small. You owe it to yourself to stop doing the bare minimum. You owe it to yourself to stop making excuses. Your goals don't need to be accepted by others. They just need to be pursued by you, every single day, with full intensity. Standards are personal. Nobody else can set them for you. Nobody else can maintain them for you. You have to wake up every day and decide who you're going to be. You have to look at your habits, your attitude, your routines, and ask one question: are these helping me grow, or are they keeping me stuck? Greatness is not given, it's demanded. It's created by daily choices that require effort and discomfort. It's built by saying no to distractions. It's built by saying yes to discipline. There's nothing weak about wanting to be excellent. There's nothing wrong with wanting more from yourself. What's weak is needing someone else to say it's okay. What's weak is hiding behind approval before taking action. What's weak is waiting for praise before showing up fully. Stop waiting. Stop asking. Stop hesitating. Start becoming. Start working. Start holding yourself to a higher level. Do it quietly. Do it consistently. Do it for yourself. You're not in competition with anyone. Your standard is your own. Your pace is your own. Your definition of success is yours to define. But once you define it, chase it with everything you've got. Don't settle. Don't lower the bar to fit in. Raise your actions to meet it. Set goals that push you to your edge and hold yourself accountable to them. That's where growth is. That's where confidence is built. Not in getting it perfect, but in refusing to settle for less than your best. There will be days when you feel alone, days when no one sees your effort, days when it feels like nobody cares about what you're doing. Don't let that stop you. You're not doing it for their attention. You're doing it because you made a promise to yourself. A promise to show up. A promise to stay consistent. A promise to grow into someone you can be proud of. Keep that promise. That promise matters more than anyone's approval ever will. Approval fades, but self-respect stays. People change their minds, but your habits, your choices, your growth, that's yours. And that's what builds real success. That's what builds a strong mind. That's what makes you unshakable. Don't wait for someone to say you've made it. Decide it. Prove it. Become it. You will never rise above the standard you set for yourself. So raise it. Then meet it. Then raise it again. That's how you build strength. That's how you build pride. That's how you build a life that lasts. Start demanding more from your time. Start demanding more from your mindset. Start demanding more from your focus. Your future depends on it. Nobody else is responsible for your success. Nobody else is responsible for your growth. This is your life, your job, your mission. Take ownership of that. Stop pointing fingers. Stop waiting for someone to notice your potential. Notice it yourself. Then get to work. Not once, not sometimes, but every single day, without needing a pat on the back. You don't need to be seen. You need to be consistent. You don't need to be praised. You need to be disciplined. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be honest. Every step counts. Every habit matters. Every decision adds up. You're building something, and that something is you. Don't let anyone or anything get in the way of that. Stay focused, stay grounded, stay relentless. Cut out the noise, cut out the distractions, cut out the need to impress. You don't have time for that. You have work to do. You have goals to chase. You have greatness to demand from yourself. That's the mindset that creates a powerful life. One built on values, not validation. One built on effort, not applause. One built on consistency, not recognition. You don't have to wait to be chosen. You choose yourself. Every morning, every decision, every time you feel tired but keep going. That's what winners do. That's what leaders do. That's what people with real confidence do. The world may never understand your vision. It doesn't have to. As long as you understand it, that's enough. Walk your path, own your journey, push yourself, not for attention, but for growth. Demand greatness, not from the world, but from the person in the mirror. And do it until there's no question about who you are and what you're capable of. You don't owe the world anything, but you owe yourself everything. Everything you've got. Every ounce of effort. Every bit of discipline. Every moment of focus. That's how you rise. That's how you earn respect. Not from others, but from yourself. And that kind of respect is unshakable. That kind of respect becomes your power. So stop seeking. Start building. Start growing. Start showing up like someone who takes themselves seriously. Like someone who doesn't beg for approval. Like someone who demands greatness. Not from others, but from within. Every single day. Chapter 7. Overcome laziness and make progress your new habit. Laziness is not just doing nothing, it's doing less than you're capable of. It's knowing there's more in you, but choosing the easier way out. It's postponing progress for comfort. And over time, that comfort becomes a prison. It traps your energy. It steals your time. It kills your momentum. You start making excuses for why you didn't do what needed to be done. You begin settling for just getting by, and eventually you stop recognizing the person you could have been. That's the cost of laziness: missed growth, wasted potential, and quiet regret that follows you everywhere. Progress doesn't come from motivation. It comes from movement. You have to learn how to act without waiting to feel ready. Because lazy habits aren't removed by reading quotes or setting goals. They're replaced by daily effort. They're replaced by choices that challenge your comfort. You beat laziness by refusing to listen to the voice that tells you to stay still. That voice will always be there. It sounds reasonable. It says things like start tomorrow, just rest for a little, or you'll do better later. But that voice is lying. It wants to delay your growth. It wants to keep you weak. You beat it by building a new voice, one that says start now, one that says do it anyway, one that says no more delays, and the only way that voice gets louder is by acting on it. Every time you push yourself to do what you've been avoiding, you make that voice stronger. That's how progress becomes a habit. You don't wait for the right moment, you create it. You take one step, then another, and soon you look back and realize you're no longer stuck in the cycle of laziness. You're moving forward. Laziness grows stronger the more you feed it. You feed it by doing nothing. You feed it by scrolling, complaining, procrastinating. It wants your energy because it knows that once it has it, you'll be too tired to chase anything meaningful. But when you begin your day with purpose, when you choose to act even when you don't feel like it, laziness has no power. You starve it by doing the work. You weaken it by sticking to your plan. You bury it by building new routines that demand progress. The body gets tired, but the mind gives up first. Laziness isn't a physical problem. It's a mental one. It's the belief that you can put things off and still expect change. But nothing happens by chance. You won't wake up one day in shape, focused, successful, or disciplined. That kind of life is built step by step, day after day, in the little moments when you choose action over rest. Not forever, just today. Then again tomorrow, and again after that. That's how progress becomes your identity. Every goal you've set for yourself, health, money, career, mindset, it's waiting for you on the other side of action. Not massive action once in a while, but consistent effort every day. The people you admire aren't more talented. They've just decided that progress is non-negotiable. They don't ask themselves if they feel like it. They just get it done. That's the switch you need to flip. From feelings to discipline, from comfort to challenge, from waiting to doing. You've already wasted enough time. You've seen what happens when you delay. You've felt the frustration of not making progress. You've watched weeks pass without real change. That's not because you're incapable. That's because laziness got a seat at your table. It whispered lies. It distracted you. It convinced you that tomorrow was a better time to start. But there is no better time. The only time you have is now. And the moment you act, things begin to shift. There's no shortcut. No special secret, just consistent effort. You wake up, and you do what needs to be done. Even when you're tired. Even when you're overwhelmed. Even when nobody's watching. Because that's how habits are formed. Through repetition, through discipline, through showing up again and again, until it becomes who you are. You don't overcome laziness with emotion. You overcome it with structure. Set a schedule. Stick to it. Don't negotiate with it. Don't talk yourself out of the task. Just do the task. Make it your rule. Progress first, comfort later. That one change will transform your life. No more sleeping in. No more skipping goals. No more wasting hours on nonsense. You take control by deciding what matters and protecting it. Your time is your power. Don't give it to laziness. Don't spend your best energy on things that don't help you grow. Build routines that reinforce your goals. Break your day into simple steps. Start early. Get moving. Stay focused. Cut out the habits that slow you down. You don't need more hours. You need more intention. You need to stop drifting and start directing every hour towards something that matters. Small wins matter. Every time you finish a task, you teach your brain that effort brings results. Every time you follow through, you feel stronger. That's progress. It doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to be real. And over time, it compounds. You gain confidence. You gain speed. You gain belief in yourself. And that belief turns into momentum. That's the cycle you want to live in. Not the lazy cycle of excuses and delay, but the progress cycle of action and growth. Stop chasing motivation. Start chasing responsibility. Start chasing consistency. Start chasing progress. Motivation is temporary. Progress is permanent. Progress gives you results. Progress gives you strength. Progress gives you proof. You don't need to feel amazing every day. You need to finish what you start. That's how you escape the trap of laziness. That's how you rise above it. Take inventory of your habits. Be honest. Where are you wasting time? What are you putting off? What's stealing your focus? What excuses are you using to avoid effort? Then eliminate them. Not later. Not when it's convenient. Now, replace every excuse with action. Replace every lazy moment with one step forward. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to keep moving. Progress isn't about speed. It's about direction. 1 hour of deep focus beats 10 hours of scattered effort. One act of discipline beats a week of good intentions. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be consistent. Build systems that support you. Plan your day. Stick to your routines. Make effort automatic. That's how you win over laziness. Not with bursts of energy, but with relentless follow-through. You're not stuck. You're not lazy by nature. You're just living below your ability. You've trained yourself to avoid discomfort, but you can retrain yourself. You can rewire your patterns. You can build a new rhythm, and that rhythm is built by choosing effort over ease, day after day, until it becomes your default. You won't always see progress right away. That's normal. Progress takes time, but don't mistake the lack of visible results for failure. The change is happening inside you, in your mind, in your habits, in your focus. Keep going. Keep doing the work. Keep showing up. That's the secret. That's the whole formula. People will wonder what changed. They'll ask how you became more focused, more disciplined, more reliable, and you'll know it wasn't luck. It was daily action. It was effort without applause. It was working when others rested. It was being consistent when others gave up. It was rejecting laziness and making progress your new habit. You are capable of so much more, but you'll never know that as long as laziness is in control. So today, draw the line. Decide that you're done living below your potential, done waiting, done making excuses, done putting it off. From now on, it's effort first, it's purpose first, it's progress every single day. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to do something real, something intentional, something now. That's how progress begins. That's how laziness ends. That's how a new version of you starts to rise. One step at a time, one task at a time, one win at a time. That's how greatness is built. And it starts with the decision to no longer let laziness lead your life. Chapter 8. Sacrifice short-term enjoyment for long-term pride and achievement. You are not here to live for the weekend. You are not here to chase comfort at the cost of growth. You are not here to keep choosing what feels good right now and then wonder later why your life looks the same. You are here to build something that lasts, something that reflects your effort, your choices, your strength. That kind of life does not come from pleasure. It comes from sacrifice. The decision to give up short-term enjoyment in order to earn long-term pride and real achievement. The truth is simple. What feels good right now often takes from what you want most. Every time you choose the easy thing, you delay the meaningful thing. You trade progress for a moment of escape. You trade clarity for temporary highs. You trade peace of mind for distraction. And every time you do that, you feed a habit that weakens your future. There is a cost to success. There is a cost to confidence. There is a cost to building a life that makes you proud. And the price is paid in daily sacrifice. The sacrifice of mindless entertainment. The sacrifice of late mornings. The sacrifice of impulsive decisions. The sacrifice of giving in to every urge. That's how people lose years, by constantly saying yes to now and no to later. You do that enough, and you wake up one day surrounded by comfort and filled with regret. Long-term pride isn't something you can buy. It's not something you stumble into. It's not given. It's earned. It's built through hours of hard work when nobody is watching. It's built through missed parties, through early mornings, through consistent choices that prioritize growth over pleasure. And when you live that way long enough, You gain something most people never feel. You gain pride that doesn't need to be validated by anyone else. The people who build real achievement don't live for the moment. They live for their mission. They are clear about what matters. They know that their time is valuable, that their energy must be protected, and that discipline is more valuable than instant reward. That's what keeps them focused. That's what keeps them moving forward when others are slowing down. You don't have to say yes to every invitation. You don't have to prove yourself through social approval. You don't have to spend every free hour chasing fun. You get to decide that your vision matters more, that your goals are not optional, that your time is limited, and you're going to use it wisely. This is your life, not a game, not a vacation, not a series of distractions. And every day you live with that mindset, you put yourself one step closer to who you were meant to become. You have to be honest about what's stealing your time. You have to look at your days and ask, what am I doing that makes me feel good now but leaves me empty later? What habits keep me comfortable but leave me stuck? What routines feel easy but rob me of progress? That's the kind of self-awareness that changes everything. You stop pretending. You stop lying to yourself. You stop acting like the things you're doing don't have consequences. They do. Every day your future is being shaped by what you choose to value more, pleasure or purpose. Success requires saying no. No to laziness. No to wasted time. No to people who don't support your path. No to habits that drain you. You don't need to live a life of restriction. You need to live a life of intention. A life where you choose what matters most, not what's easiest. A life where you say yes to discipline because you understand where it leads. Temporary enjoyment feels good in the moment, but long-term pride feels good for life. That feeling of earning something, that feeling of overcoming yourself, that feeling of knowing you didn't take shortcuts. That's real power. That's what makes you walk taller. That's what builds lasting confidence. And it's only found through sacrifice. There will be times when you feel like you're missing out. Your friends will be relaxing while you're working. Others will be sleeping in while you're training. People will tell you to take it easy, to enjoy life more. But they don't know your goals. They don't know your standards. They don't feel your hunger. They don't carry your vision. So don't expect them to understand your discipline. Just stay focused. Stay committed. Stay locked in. Because those who chase pleasure now usually chase answers later. But those who sacrifice now walk with peace later. You decide which path you want to take. There is nothing wrong with rest. There is nothing wrong with joy. But it has to come after the work is done. Celebration means nothing when there's no effort behind it. Enjoyment means more when it follows consistency. Rest hits different when it's earned. Until then, your focus should be on showing up, on getting better, on refusing to settle. Life is not about avoiding effort. It's about using your effort wisely. Your future self is depending on you, not to be perfect, not to be fearless, but to be disciplined enough to delay what feels good now for what will matter most later. That version of you is watching. That version of you is shaped by your daily choices. Every sacrifice you make, every moment you resist comfort, every task you complete, it all adds up. That's how you earn respect from yourself. That's how you build a life that doesn't need to be explained. You don't need to prove anything to the world. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to make sure that when you look back, you're proud of how you spent your time. You're proud of how you handled your energy. You're proud of the habits you built, the effort you gave, the goals you hit. That pride doesn't come from hoping. It comes from working, from choosing the long road, from pushing when most people quit. There is no achievement without sacrifice. None. Not in health, not in business, not in mindset, not in relationships. It always requires you to give up something easy for something better. And the sooner you learn to say no to what distracts you, the faster you gain control over your life. You don't need everything now. You don't need to indulge every desire. You need to stay hungry. You need to stay focused. You need to stay loyal to your mission. This is what separates the average from the driven. The average person lets the day decide. The driven person decides how the day will go. The average person escapes from pressure. The driven person uses pressure to sharpen themselves. The average person waits for motivation. The driven person acts out of principle. That's what you need. Not more comfort, more conviction. The pain of sacrifice is temporary, but the reward of achievement is permanent. The feeling of finishing what you started. The feeling of rising above old habits. The feeling of proving to yourself that you were capable all along. That's the kind of pride that stays with you. That's the kind of fulfillment no distraction can match. You already know what needs to be done. You already know what's pulling you off track. You already know the moments where you say yes when you should say no. That honesty is your starting point. Don't hide from it. Use it. Let it guide your choices. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it drive you to raise your standards. Stop pretending that success and comfort can live side by side. One has to win, and every day with every decision you decide which one it will be. Make the choice to push harder, to do more, to rise higher. Make the choice to say no to the thing that feels good but leaves you weaker. Make the choice to say yes to the thing that's hard but builds you into someone strong. This is your life. Not a game, not a warm-up, not a trial run. Every day is an opportunity to build or to destroy, to grow or to stay stuck, to become or to escape. And the results will show, not in one day, but over time, quietly, powerfully, in your habits, in your focus, in your results. That's the reward of sacrifice. That's the pride that lasts. Your future doesn't need more talk. It needs more action, more follow-through, more clarity. It needs you to stop living for the next pleasure and start living for the next breakthrough. It needs you to wake up and act like the life you want is possible, but only through discipline, only through sacrifice, only through a willingness to give up what feels good for what's right. You don't need another reminder. You don't need another reason. You need a decision, a strong one, a firm one, a daily one, that you will not continue to let short-term enjoyment rob you of long-term success. That from this point forward, you will trade the easy win for the long-term reward. You will look back one day and say, I made the right choices. I earned this life. I didn't settle. Nothing feels better than earning what you have. Nothing beats the peace that comes from knowing you gave it everything. That kind of life is waiting for you, but you have to choose it. Every day, through every sacrifice, through every no, through every hour of focused work. That's where the pride lives. That's where achievement is built. And that's the life worth living. Chapter 9. Replace weak thoughts with powerful beliefs about yourself. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to keep and which ones to remove. You are not a prisoner to doubt. You are not a victim of fear. But for too long, you've believed the wrong things about yourself. You've accepted thoughts that limit you. You've repeated lies in your mind so many times that now they feel like facts. I'm not good enough. I'll never change. I always fail. Those words may have been there for years, but they are not the truth. They are not who you are. They are not who you have to be. Weak thoughts do not belong in the mind of someone who is trying to grow. They only serve one purpose: to slow you down. They create hesitation. They create confusion. They create emotional pressure that keeps you stuck. And the worst part is, those thoughts often come from old moments in your life that no longer have any power unless you give it to them. A mistake you made, a word someone said, a time you were embarrassed. You stored that moment in your mind and turned it into a belief. But you are not that moment anymore. You are not that version of yourself. Thoughts only have power when you agree with them. The moment you decide to disagree, the moment you refuse to give in, they begin to lose strength. That's where your power begins, by learning how to respond to your own mind. Not with emotion, but with truth. Not with panic, but with certainty. Not with weakness, but with belief. You are allowed to outgrow your old thoughts. You are allowed to replace every lie with something stronger. You are allowed to rewrite the way you speak to yourself. That's not delusion. That's called responsibility. You are responsible for what you allow to repeat in your head every day. And the longer you allow weakness to speak unchecked, the longer you'll live beneath your potential. Strong beliefs are not just words. They are commitments. They are choices. They are decisions that say, I will not think like a failure anymore. They are mental standards that say, I may not be there yet, but I'm moving forward. You don't need to pretend to be perfect. You don't need to fake confidence. But you do need to stop accepting thoughts that destroy your energy. You need to stop welcoming beliefs that make you feel powerless. Nobody else can fix your mind. That job belongs to you, and it starts with awareness. You have to become someone who notices what you think, questions what you say to yourself, and refuses to keep repeating what weakens you. I'm not ready turns into I will prepare. I always mess up becomes I'm learning fast. People won't support me changes to I will support myself. Every thought has an opposite. You choose which one lives. You don't need to wait for the world to believe in you. You need to believe in yourself enough to act without their support. You need to stand on your own mindset. You need to walk with thoughts that give you strength, not thoughts that pull you apart. Every day your self-image is shaped by the thoughts you repeat. Every day you become more of what you allow to take root in your mind. Strong people don't wait to feel positive. They practice thinking in ways that make them strong. They challenge their doubts. They argue with their limits. They talk to themselves with clarity. They take ownership of their thinking. You need to start doing the same. The words in your mind shape the actions in your day. Weak thoughts kill motivation before you even move. But powerful beliefs create momentum before you even start. Nobody is born with a strong mind. It is trained. It is built through discipline. It is shaped by daily practice. Just like the body needs effort to grow, the mind needs challenge to evolve. You can't expect to grow by thinking the same way you did last year. You have to upgrade your beliefs. You have to stop accepting every thought as truth. You have to become selective with what you think. There's a voice in your head that says you're behind. That voice is wrong. You're not behind. You're beginning. You're not late. You're right on time to change your thinking. Right now you get to choose. You get to decide that your thoughts will serve your goals. You get to make the decision that your mind will become your strongest weapon, not your greatest weakness. Progress in life always starts in the mind. Every new level of achievement begins with new thinking. You will not go higher than the way you think about yourself. You cannot create a strong future with a weak belief system. You must remove the thoughts that tell you to quit. You must replace them with beliefs that tell you to keep going. Some of those thoughts you carry were given to you by others. A parent, a teacher, a friend. Maybe they told you that you weren't smart enough, or that you weren't special, or that you wouldn't make it. Maybe you accepted that for years, but you don't have to carry it anymore. You are not required to keep someone else's opinion alive in your mind. Let it go. Replace it with a new voice. One that builds you. One that challenges you. One that lifts you up. This doesn't mean you never feel doubt again. It means doubt no longer controls you. It means you see it, and you choose to move anyway. That's what power looks like. Not perfection but progress. Not fake confidence but real belief backed by consistent effort. You need to start talking to yourself like someone who wants to win. You need to stop calling yourself names. You need to stop tearing yourself down over things that already happened. That version of you who made mistakes, who struggled, who failed, that version taught you something. It didn't define you. It prepared you. Don't let your past thoughts rob you of today's power. Build a system of thinking that supports your goals. Don't just react to life. Decide how you want to think about it. Build a mindset that says, I can handle this. Build beliefs that say, I grow through challenges. Build language that reflects strength, not fear. That is your foundation. That is your edge. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have it all figured out. But you do have to believe that you can keep learning. You do have to trust that you have the ability to grow. You do have to hold the belief that you are worthy of progress, of change, of success. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. The mind is a battlefield, and the way you think determines whether you win or lose. The ones who win are not the ones who avoid negative thoughts. They're the ones who replace them, over and over, until thinking strong becomes natural, until self-belief becomes their habit, until the noise of weakness can't get through. Start paying attention to what you repeat to yourself. Every word you speak internally is shaping your future. Words like, I can't, I won't, I'm not ready. They are not facts. They are habits. They are scripts that need to be rewritten. You don't fix them with silence. You fix them with new statements, new beliefs, new affirmations backed by action. Your life changes when your mind changes. The moment you start thinking like someone who is worthy of the next level, you begin acting like it. The way you walk changes. The way you work changes. The way you treat yourself changes. That's the power of belief. Not in theory, in practice. Wake up every day with a new story in your mind. I get better today. I'm becoming stronger. I can handle pressure. I am focused. I am consistent. I am disciplined. Speak it before you feel it. Act on it before you fully believe it. Let your behavior lead the way. Let your thoughts support that behavior. That's how you rewire your mind. That's how you replace weakness with strength. Weak thoughts will try to come back. That's their nature. But you'll be ready. You'll see them for what they are. Noise. You'll notice them, and you'll choose better. You'll protect your energy. You'll protect your focus. You'll stop giving your attention to thoughts that steal your strength. This is how you win. Not through perfect days, not through endless motivation, but through a sharp, clear mind that knows what to believe, what to reject, and how to keep moving no matter what. This is how powerful people think. This is how leaders are built. This is how you become unstoppable from the inside out, with one strong belief at a time. Chapter 10. Ignore negative opinions and trust your inner voice completely. Most people never become who they could be because they give too much weight to opinions that don't matter. They hold themselves back trying to please everyone, trying to be accepted, trying to fit into spaces they've already outgrown. They hear one negative comment, one sarcastic remark, one dismissive tone, and suddenly their whole mindset shifts. They start questioning themselves. They start hesitating. They start overthinking. But your growth, your goals, your future, it can't be built on the approval of others. It must come from within. Your inner voice must be louder than their doubts. Your belief must be stronger than their noise. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every voice deserves your energy. Not every critic deserves a seat at your table. You don't need to respond. You don't need to explain. You don't need to defend your path. The moment you stop giving attention to negativity, you reclaim your focus. You take your power back. You begin to build a mindset that moves with confidence, not fear. And in that space, you start creating real progress. The people who have done the least will always have the most to say. They speak from limitation, not vision. They speak from insecurity, not understanding. They don't see what you see. They don't feel your hunger. They don't carry your dreams. So why let their words weigh so much? They have no authority over your potential. They don't know your inner work. They don't know your late nights, your quiet effort, your reasons for choosing this path. Stop looking for understanding from those who never tried. You weren't made to follow the crowd. You weren't made to shrink, to make others comfortable. You were made to grow, to push limits, to create your own standard. That can't happen when you're constantly worried about what others think. You can't build strength while trying to be liked by everyone. You can't chase greatness while trying to keep everyone's approval. The truth is, not everyone will support you. Not everyone will clap when you win. Not everyone will understand your choices. And that's okay. That's not your job to fix. Your job is to trust yourself fully, without hesitation, without apology. That voice inside you, the one that pushes you to grow, that tells you to take the risk, that won't let you quit. It's there for a reason. That voice is your guide. And the more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. The more you follow it, the more aligned you feel. That's where peace is. Not in pleasing others, but in living your truth. There will be people who criticize what they don't understand. People who mock what they're afraid to attempt. People who project their limitations onto you. Let them. Their words say more about them than they ever will about you. And every second you spend focused on their opinions is a second stolen from your purpose. You don't have time to waste proving yourself to small minds. You have a mission. You have goals. You have standards. Focus on those. The louder the world gets, the quieter you must become. Because that quiet space is where your true voice speaks. That quiet space is where you remember who you are. Not what the world says. Not what the critics think. Who you truly are. And that clarity will guide you better than any outside advice ever could. You already know what you need to do. You already know what feels right. You already know the next step. But the noise makes you question it. The opinions make you pause. The judgment makes you hesitate. It's time to cut through that noise. It's time to start trusting your instincts again. The world may be loud, but your inner voice must be louder. It must be the final decision maker in your life. No one else knows your path like you do. They haven't seen your vision. They haven't felt your battles. They haven't lived your life. So stop letting them write your story. Take the pen back. Write it with clarity. Write it with strength. Write it with full ownership. That's how you begin to build a life that feels real, not because others agree, but because you know it's right for you. Negative opinions are often reflections of fear. People fear what they don't understand. They fear what challenges them. They fear what reminds them of what they're not doing. So when they see you taking action, becoming disciplined, setting goals and breaking patterns, they criticize. Not because you're wrong, but because they don't have the courage to do it themselves. Don't let that stop you. Let it remind you that you're on the right track. The more you grow, the more noise you'll face. But that's a sign of movement. Still people attract silence. Moving people attract attention. Let the attention come. Let the opinions come. You don't owe them your peace. You don't owe them your time. Keep moving. Keep trusting yourself. Keep showing up. That's how you win. Not by explaining, by acting, by doing, by becoming. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to live with purpose, to rise above distraction, to stay focused on what truly matters. The world will always have something to say, but none of it matters more than your own truth. And once you commit to that, fully, without flinching, you become unshakable. Start building a relationship with yourself that's stronger than outside opinions. Start talking to yourself with encouragement, with honesty, with clarity. Start creating space to listen to your own thoughts, not the ones filled with doubt, but the ones rooted in truth. The voice that says, "You can handle this." The voice that says, "Keep going." The voice that says, "You were made for more." That voice needs to be your anchor. When criticism comes, hold on to that voice. When judgment shows up, return to that voice. When doubt creeps in, strengthen that voice. This is your weapon. This is your compass. This is your foundation. The world does not get to decide how far you go. Your belief does. Your work does. Your commitment does. Stop letting fear of opinion dictate your pace. Stop letting shallow minds block your progress. Start walking with intention. Start leading yourself. You were never meant to beg for acceptance. You were never supposed to wait for permission. That's not your job. Your job is to build, to rise, to take every step with conviction, to create results that speak louder than any critic ever could. Nobody will remember the people who doubted you. They'll remember the one who kept going, the one who stayed consistent, the one who trusted their path, no matter who misunderstood it. Be that person. Be the one who refuses to back down. Be the one who keeps rising, even when the world tries to pull you down. This is your life, not theirs. Your voice, your path, your standards. Own it, guard it, strengthen it, and walk in it fully. No more looking over your shoulder. No more second-guessing your choices. No more shrinking yourself to fit the comfort zones of others. From this moment on, you trust your voice completely, because that's where your power lives. That's where your future begins. That's how you build a life that no opinion can tear down. Chapter 11. Break limiting habits by forcing new healthy behaviors immediately. Nothing changes until you change your behavior. No mindset shift, no goal setting, No intention means anything without action. Habits are not broken by thinking about them. They're broken by doing something different right now, not later. You can't ease out of bad habits. You have to force them to end by replacing them with stronger ones. You have to move with urgency. You have to stop waiting for the perfect plan. The longer you wait, the stronger the habit becomes. The more you overthink, the more it locks you in place. The only way to destroy it is to act before your mind has time to pull you back. Bad habits are not just routines. They're patterns of comfort. They give you a sense of safety, even when they're hurting you. That's why it's hard to let them go. You're not just changing a behavior, you're breaking an attachment. That attachment doesn't go away on its own. You have to rip it out and replace it with something better. And the only way that works is when the new habit begins immediately. Not in a week. Not next month. Now, the human brain adapts to what you give it. You've trained your mind and body to expect a certain pattern. Maybe it's checking your phone the moment you wake up. Maybe it's skipping your workouts. Maybe it's overeating, overspending, overthinking. Those behaviors didn't just happen. They were created. That means they can be undone. Not by talking about it. Not by feeling bad about it. But by replacing the old loop with a new one, right now, no matter how uncomfortable it feels at first. Waiting for the right time is just another form of delay. You already know what needs to go. You already feel the weight of what's holding you back. Now it's your responsibility to act like it. You don't overcome weakness with emotion. You overcome it with execution. You build the new habit so consistently that the old one no longer fits your life. That's how real transformation works. Not in theory, but in repetition. You act. You adjust. You repeat. Until it becomes who you are. Most people try to negotiate with their bad habits. They try to ease into change. They tell themselves they'll start small, do it gradually, build momentum first. That method rarely works, because old habits don't die slow. They fight to survive. You have to shut them down by making them incompatible with your new standard. That means you stop doing the thing immediately, and you replace it with something productive. That's how you take control of your behavior. You don't give yourself an option to fall back. Every time you take action, you send a message to your mind. This is who I am now. Not who you hope to be. Not who you want to become, but who you are today. That message becomes stronger the more you act on it. And the stronger it becomes, the more natural your new behavior feels. Eventually, it becomes your default. But only because you forced it first. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to wait for motivation. You just need to act with urgency. The decision to change has to come with immediate proof. Your brain doesn't believe words. It believes behavior. That's why change only works when it's backed by action. You stop eating junk, and you start preparing meals. You stop wasting time, and you start using a schedule. You stop saying, "I'll try," and you start saying, "I'm doing it now." That shift in language, paired with behavior, creates momentum. Habits are built by repetition, not inspiration. It doesn't matter how motivated you feel. What matters is what you do next. One decision leads to another. One routine shapes the next. What you do today becomes what you do tomorrow. That's why the only moment that matters is this one, right now, and what you choose to do with it determines everything. You've already wasted time doing what you know doesn't work. You've already seen what happens when you keep making the same excuses. There's no mystery left. You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you haven't acted with enough intensity. You haven't forced a new way of living. You haven't been aggressive enough with your behavior. That has to change. And it starts by taking one bad habit and replacing it on the spot. No discussion, no delay, just a new action. Right now. That kind of shift creates discomfort. And that's the point. Growth starts where comfort ends. The reason most people stay stuck is because they want change to feel good. It won't. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel inconvenient. But that's what makes it work. You're teaching yourself to lead your life instead of reacting to it. You're proving that you can direct your own actions even when your emotions are screaming for something easier. You must understand this discipline is built in the moment you decide not to repeat the old pattern. That's the breaking point. That's the chance to shift. And every time you take that opportunity, even in small ways, you strengthen your identity. You move from I always mess up to I take control. You move from I don't know how to I'm learning by doing. That's how a new standard is created. Every excuse you make for your old habits is a delay in your progress. I'm too tired. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not in the mood. Those are lies. You're not tired. You're distracted. You're not waiting for the right time. You're avoiding discomfort. You're not out of energy. You're out of urgency. That changes when you stop accepting your own excuses and replace them with non-negotiable action. You don't need anyone's permission to start over. You don't need to announce your change. You don't need to explain your shift. All you need is behavior. All you need is follow through. All you need is one decision that you repeat until it becomes a way of life. That's how you break free. That's how you reclaim your focus. There is no such thing as a neutral habit. Every habit either builds you or breaks you. It either sharpens your mind or dulls it. It either moves you forward or holds you back. That's why you have to treat every routine with importance, even the small ones, because they add up. They tell your brain what kind of person you are. Don't let laziness, distraction, or fear become your daily ritual. Replace them now with action, with movement, with decisions that match your future, not your past. Nobody is going to do this for you. Nobody is going to force you to level up. That's your responsibility. That's your job. And the good news is, you're capable. You're not broken. You're not behind. You just need to get serious about your patterns. You need to replace what's weak with what's strong. You need to stop explaining your habits and start changing them. Take a look at your current routine. Look at your morning. Look at your evening. Look at how you use your time when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're alone. That's where the truth is. That's where the habit lives. And that's where the change must begin. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because that's when it's real. You're not going to build a new life with old behaviors. You can't move to a new level while dragging the same habits. Something has to break. And that break only happens when you act in a way that your past self never would. That moment is powerful. That moment creates transformation. But only when it's repeated. Not once. Every day. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about deciding who you want to be and acting like it before you feel like it. That's how identity is built. That's how you go from someone who talks about change to someone who lives it. No more waiting. No more planning. No more trying, just doing, just moving, just becoming. That's the path. That's the only path. And it starts the moment you stop giving power to old habits and start building new ones right now without compromise. Chapter 12. Push through emotional pain to build unstoppable self-respect. Emotional pain is one of the hardest things a person can experience, not because it's visible to others, but because it's hidden deep within, and only you truly feel it. It drains your energy. It clouds your thoughts. It can make you feel like you're stuck in a dark space with no way out. But there is a way forward, and that path begins when you decide that your pain will no longer define you. That decision is not made once. It's made daily. Every day you feel the weight. Every day you wake up tired of carrying it. Every day you still choose to push through anyway. That's where your self-respect begins to grow. You build self-respect in those moments when no one else knows what you're going through, and you still choose to show up with discipline. You earn it when your emotions scream at you to quit, but you keep moving forward. You don't run from the pain. You don't deny it. You walk through it. You use it, not as an excuse but as fuel. The truth is, most people let emotional pain break them down. They let it turn into bitterness, avoidance, addiction, silence. But strong people, people who truly grow, they turn that pain into power. They refuse to stay broken. They use every scar as a reason to rise, not a reason to retreat. Pain is not your enemy. Staying stuck in it is. The moment you choose to take action despite the pain, you take your power back. You prove to yourself that you're stronger than what happened to you, that you're more than what you lost, that you are not controlled by your past, that you are not a slave to your emotions. You don't overcome emotional pain by avoiding it. You overcome it by outworking it. You wake up and you take responsibility for your life even when your heart feels heavy. You move your body. You stay consistent. You stick to your plan. That is how you start to heal. Emotional pain doesn't disappear in a day. It lingers. It shows up when you least expect it. But that's exactly why you have to build a routine that protects your progress. You can't wait to feel better. You have to create better. And you do that by forcing yourself to keep going, even when everything in you wants to shut down. This is not about being emotionless. This is about becoming unshakable. It's about building a level of self-respect so deep that you will never betray yourself again, even when your world feels like it's falling apart. Self-respect comes from discipline. It comes from doing what needs to be done, not just when you're motivated, but especially when you're hurting. That's where character is built. That's where you separate yourself from the average. The average person gives up when it hurts. They disappear when things get heavy. They look for comfort. They seek distraction. But someone who values their future more than their emotions, they do the opposite. They lean in. They face it. They get stronger. You don't get self-respect by talking about your goals. You get it by acting on them when you have every reason not to. You get it by standing up for yourself, by protecting your routines, by not letting your emotions tear down everything you've worked for. You will not always be okay. Life will hit you. People will disappoint you. Your plans will fall apart. But none of that is a reason to stop. It's a reason to fight harder. Because every time you stay disciplined through the storm, you prove something important. You're not just someone who wants to grow. You're someone who refuses to quit. You don't need to feel strong to act strong. Strength is not about what you feel. It's about what you choose. Every time you choose to do the hard thing instead of escaping, you grow. You change. You evolve. The pain doesn't vanish overnight, but it doesn't control you anymore. Because now you've shown yourself that pain doesn't decide your future, your actions do. Some of your deepest growth will come in the hardest chapters of your life. You will look back at moments of suffering and realize that's when you became who you needed to be. You won't remember the easy days. You'll remember the days you almost gave up but didn't. You'll remember the workouts you finished with a heavy heart. You'll remember the mornings you got up and followed your routine even while carrying grief. You'll remember the moments where you chose strength even when you felt weak. That's where the pride lives. That's where your foundation is built. Self-respect is not just about winning. It's about how you show up when you're losing. It's about doing the right thing when nothing feels right. It's about sticking to your values when everything around you is shaking. And the more you push through pain with focus and discipline, the more unbreakable you become. Not because you stopped hurting, but because you refuse to surrender. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to be honest about your pain. But you are not allowed to give up. You are not allowed to stop believing in your potential. You are not allowed to waste your life because something went wrong. You have to keep going. You have to stay in motion. You have to keep showing up for yourself, even when nobody else does. Nobody sees how hard it is for you some days. Nobody knows the internal battles. But you know, you feel them, and that's why it's your job to win them. You don't need applause. You don't need sympathy. You need progress. You need forward movement. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, I didn't quit. Because that's what gives you strength. That's what restores your pride. That's what makes you trust yourself again. The most dangerous thing pain can do is convince you to stop trying. Don't let it. Don't give it that power. You've come too far. You've survived too much. You've already proven that you can keep going. Now it's time to turn that proof into progress. Time to take that energy and use it to become stronger. Time to take that heartbreak and turn it into discipline. Because every time you push through, you win back a part of yourself. Every time you finish a task in the middle of your pain, you reclaim your focus. You are not weak for feeling emotional pain. You are strong for not letting it stop you. You are powerful for continuing to move when most people would shut down. That strength becomes your standard. That mindset becomes your armor. Not fake toughness, but real self-control, real inner strength, real emotional resilience. There's no shortcut through this. You won't feel better by waiting. You won't heal by sitting still. You have to move through it. You have to build while it hurts. You have to stay committed to your habits even when you don't feel like it. That's how you win. That's how you come out of the pain stronger than you went in. No one else can do this for you. No one else can carry your emotional pain. But you can carry yourself. You can make the choice to act with discipline, no matter how heavy the pain feels. And that choice, repeated over and over, creates unshakable self-respect. There will be days when nothing makes sense. Days when your emotions are all over the place. But your job doesn't change. Your mission doesn't disappear. You still train. You still work. You still grow. That's what it means to have real mental toughness. Not ignoring the pain, but not letting it stop your discipline. You will look back at this season of your life and feel something stronger than pride. You'll feel peace. You'll feel certainty. You'll feel like someone who earned every bit of strength they carry. And that feeling will never leave you, because it wasn't given to you. You built it. Through the hard days, through the lonely nights, through the emotional storms. You showed up anyway. And now you know, you are not your pain. You are not your feelings. You are not your past. You are the person who kept going. You are the one who took the pain and built power. You are the one who chose discipline over destruction. And because of that, your self-respect can never be taken. It was earned. And now it's yours. Forever. Chapter 13. Embrace loneliness to create your strongest independent self. Loneliness is something most people run from. They fill their lives with noise, distraction, and surface-level company, just to avoid sitting with themselves. They fear silence because in silence, the truth comes out. The truth about how they feel, how far they've drifted, how disconnected they are from their own identity. But the truth is, loneliness is not a curse, it's an opportunity. It's the space where you find what's real. It's the place where strength is born. Most people never develop real independence because they never allow themselves to be truly alone. You don't grow into your strongest self by constantly being surrounded. You grow when you stop needing constant approval. You grow when you stop depending on people to validate your choices. You grow when you sit alone and realize that your voice, your thoughts, your decisions are enough. Loneliness reveals who you are without distractions, and when you learn to sit in it, without fear, without rushing to escape, you begin to understand what you're truly made of. Spending time alone doesn't make you weak. It makes you focused. It sharpens your instincts. It gives you space to think clearly. You start to understand your own patterns, your flaws, your strengths. You stop pretending. You stop performing. You stop shaping yourself based on what others want. In that space, you build a relationship with yourself that can't be broken. And from that relationship, your independence grows. Most people confuse loneliness with being lost. But you're not lost when you're alone. You're only lost when you don't know who you are. Being alone forces you to figure that out. It pushes you to ask questions you've avoided. What do I want? What do I value? What do I believe? What kind of life do I want to build? These answers don't come from the crowd. They come from you. And the only way to hear them is to cut out the noise. You build your strongest self when you stop needing to be seen and start needing to be disciplined. When you stop chasing approval and start chasing peace. When you stop needing people to make you feel important and start acting like someone who already is. That's what happens in solitude. That's what happens in the quiet hours when it's just you and your effort. There's no applause, no attention, just your work and your standards. And that's enough. There's a certain strength that comes from being able to sit with your own thoughts and not run, to feel discomfort and not hide, to face doubt and still choose action. That's what builds real confidence. Not public praise, not likes, not validation. Confidence that's built in silence is the kind that can't be shaken. It doesn't need a crowd to survive. It grows in isolation and becomes your armor when the world gets loud again. Aloneness is not emptiness. It's clarity. It's where you drop the mask. It's where you stop living for others and start living for your principles. It's where you stop outsourcing your identity and start building it yourself. That's why it's uncomfortable, because it demands honesty. It forces you to confront everything you've ignored. But in that confrontation, you gain power. You stop being controlled by fear. You stop making choices just to fit in. You stop betraying yourself to keep others happy. You learn to enjoy your own presence. You learn to think through problems without relying on someone else to tell you what to do. You become your own source of guidance, of discipline, of momentum. And once you've experienced that, You no longer fear being alone. You welcome it, because you know that's where the work happens. That's where you sharpen yourself. That's where you build the kind of strength that nobody can take from you. You don't become independent by being surrounded. You become independent by being alone and still choosing to rise. By waking up early, training hard, working smart, staying committed without anyone watching. That's how you earn self-respect. That's how you grow your identity. Through consistency without applause, through effort without praise, through decisions that are made behind closed doors. Most people don't realize how many of their habits are shaped by other people. They eat what their friends eat. They speak how others speak. They move with the crowd. They let external influence shape their internal standard. But you're not most people. You're here to break away. You're here to strip away what's fake and build what's real. That process is lonely. It's uncomfortable, but it's the only path that leads to real power. Solitude isn't punishment. It's preparation. It prepares you to lead yourself. It prepares you to act with discipline even when nobody agrees. It prepares you to trust your own judgment, to protect your values, to think independently. It teaches you that being alone isn't something to fear, it's something to master. Because once you master being alone, nobody can manipulate you with approval. Nobody can control you with attention. Nobody can shake you with rejection. You learn to enjoy your silence because it's not empty. It's full of intention. You fill your space with structure, with progress, with growth. You stop waiting for others to help you heal. You stop depending on someone else to save you from boredom. You create your own meaning. You build your own discipline. You become your own leader. That's not just independence. That's freedom. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop measuring your value by someone else's opinion. You know who you are because you spent time with yourself. You know what you stand for because you built your foundation alone. That's the kind of identity that can't be bought or borrowed. It's earned. And once it's earned, it doesn't go away. You carry it into every room, into every goal, into every challenge. It becomes the reason you never fall apart again. You stop fearing silence. You stop needing company to feel complete. You don't depend on anyone to keep you on track. You stay locked in because your goals matter more than social comfort. You get up early because that's who you are now. You train hard because discipline is your new standard. You stay focused because you've decided to build a life that makes sense to you, even when it makes no sense to others. You become dangerous in the best way possible, not because you're aggressive, but because you're self-reliant. Not because you're arrogant, but because you've built confidence from the inside. You're not afraid to walk alone. You're not afraid to lead yourself. You're not afraid to detach from what doesn't serve you. That's what makes you strong. You stop chasing shallow connections. You start building real standards. You stop tolerating weak energy. You start protecting your space. You learn that not everyone deserves access to your time. You get selective. You choose growth over attention. You choose discipline over distraction. You choose purpose over popularity. That's the kind of life that few people are willing to build. Because it requires discomfort. It requires sacrifice. It requires sitting alone and doing the work without any applause. But the payoff is everything. You gain clarity. You gain peace. You gain inner strength. You gain a mind that cannot be shaken by noise or doubt. The strongest version of you is not created in the crowd. It's created in the silence, in the daily decisions, in the hours you spend building something meaningful with no one watching. That's where your power is born. That's where your independence is forged. And once you've built that, there is nothing anyone can take from you. You become someone who doesn't need to be followed to move forward. You become someone who leads from within. You move based on your standards. You stay sharp without reminders. You build without support. That's what makes you unshakable. The world wants you distracted. It wants you addicted to attention. It wants you afraid of being alone. But you know better now. You know that solitude is not your enemy. It's your training ground. It's where the real work begins. And once you embrace it, you stop running from yourself. You start building yourself. Fully, completely, without compromise. That version of you doesn't flinch under pressure. That version of you doesn't chase temporary pleasure. That version of you doesn't settle for average. That version of you is built in silence, in focus, in solitude. That version of you is real, and it's waiting. All it takes is the courage to be alone long enough to find it. And once you do, you'll never fear loneliness again, because you'll realize it's where your strength was hiding all along. Chapter 14. Attack procrastination head-on and finish tasks right away. Procrastination is the silent thief of progress. It doesn't destroy you in one moment. It eats away at your life quietly, little by little. You put things off once, then again, and before you realize it, days are gone, weeks are gone, months are gone, and the task is still there, waiting. Nothing finished, nothing earned, nothing moved. The more you delay, the heavier it becomes. The more you avoid, the more your mind turns the task into a monster. But it's not a monster, it's just work. And work only gets done when you stop thinking and start doing. The key to beating procrastination is action. Immediate action. Not planning, not talking about it, not researching it to death. Just starting. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need the perfect time. You don't need to wait until you're in the mood. You need to act, because the longer you sit in indecision, the more power procrastination has over you. And once it grabs your time, it keeps taking until there's nothing left to give. The task you keep avoiding is not going to get easier. It's not going to complete itself. It won't shrink in size, and it won't disappear. You are the only one who can remove it from your path. And the only way to do that is to face it immediately. Every time you do, you teach your brain something powerful. You teach it that action matters more than hesitation. You teach it that movement beats fear. You teach it that results come from effort, not emotion. Procrastination thrives on excuses. It feeds off every thought that gives you permission to delay. I'll do it later. I don't feel like it. I'll start tomorrow. Those phrases are comfortable lies. They sound harmless, but they are dangerous. They kill momentum. They destroy confidence, and they create a pattern of failure disguised as harmless delay. Once you give in, once you accept that delay, it becomes your routine. The only way to break that cycle is to act immediately. When the task comes to mind, start it, not later. Now, when you feel resistance, lean into it. That moment, the moment you feel like putting it off, is the most important moment to take control. You don't need to finish everything at once. You just need to start. Because once you start, the pressure fades. The weight lifts. The task begins to lose its power, and your confidence grows. You build your self-respect by finishing what you start. You build discipline by doing things when they need to be done, not when you feel like doing them. The person who finishes tasks without delay becomes someone others can count on. But more importantly, they become someone they can count on. That's where confidence comes from. That's where success begins, not from talent, not from intelligence, but from the consistent decision to act immediately. Stop romanticizing the idea of productivity. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop thinking you need to feel inspired. Inspiration is a luxury. Action is a requirement. Greatness is built by people who do the boring work now, who answer the emails now, who complete the hard task now, not later. Now, because now is all you have. Every task you avoid adds weight to your life. Every time you put something off, it follows you. It clouds your thoughts. It takes energy just by sitting there undone. You think you're avoiding stress by delaying, but in reality, you're dragging that stress with you everywhere. The only way to get peace is to get it done. Finish it. Remove it. Clear the space. That's how you free your mind. You don't need to finish everything in one sitting. You need to attack the start. Start strong. Start immediately. Start without negotiation. That's how you rewire your mind to act. You don't negotiate with resistance. You override it with decisions. You train yourself to move. You condition yourself to act. And the more you repeat this process, the more automatic it becomes. Make it your rule. No delay. No waiting. No pushing it to later. The moment it needs to be done, it gets done. The moment it enters your mind, you take a step. That standard will elevate your life. It will separate you from the majority. Because most people spend their days in hesitation. They think too much. They wait too long. They talk more than they execute. You will not be that person. You will be the one who finishes. That email, send it. That phone call, make it. That plan, execute it. That message, write it. Don't think, do. Don't stall. Move. Don't doubt. Complete. You don't need motivation. You need momentum. And momentum is only created through action. Procrastination is not a time problem. It's a choice problem. You are choosing delay. You are choosing comfort. You are choosing short-term relief over long-term pride. Stop choosing weakness. Start choosing movement. Start choosing progress. Start choosing action. Every task you finish gives you energy. Every goal you hit builds your identity. Every project you complete makes you stronger. You earn your power through execution. Excuses feel good in the moment, but they leave you empty. Action feels heavy in the moment, but it fills you. It gives you control. It reminds you that you're capable, that you're focused, that you're in charge of how your day goes. You don't need to change your life in one day. You just need to stop delaying what you already know needs to be done. The reason you feel overwhelmed is because you've let tasks pile up, and the reason they've piled up is because you didn't take immediate action. You can reverse that right now. One task, one move, one completion, and from that one action, everything begins to shift. You gain clarity, you regain time, you build momentum. That's how you win. The habit of doing things now will save your time, your peace, your energy. It will build a reputation that speaks louder than words. People will trust you, but more importantly, you will trust yourself. That trust is powerful. It creates certainty. It removes hesitation. It silences doubt. Make it simple. Keep your list short. Don't make it complicated. Do the hardest task first. Start with what matters most. Complete it with focus. Move on to the next. You don't need 10 hours. You need 1 hour of deep effort. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You don't need to be fast. You need to finish. You will feel the urge to delay. Expect it. That's your moment of power. That's where you decide who you are. Are you the person who pushes things to tomorrow? Or the person who finishes today? Are you the person who talks about discipline? Or the person who lives it? The answer is in your next move. Success doesn't come from massive action once in a while. It comes from immediate action, every day. You build your future through tasks that feel small, but when done consistently and without delay, they stack into something massive. Stop wasting that potential. Stop treating time like it's unlimited. It's not. Every minute counts. Every task matters. You know what needs to be done. Don't stall. Don't excuse. Don't overthink. Take the step. Make the call. Finish the job. That's how you win the day. That's how you gain control. That's how you become the person who finishes everything they start. That's how procrastination loses its power. When you stop feeding it and start fighting it with real, immediate, decisive action. Every single time. Chapter 15. Stop blaming others and own every single outcome fully. Nothing will change in your life until you take full responsibility for every single part of it. Not some parts, not just the wins. Everything. The good, the bad, the hard, the unfair, all of it. Because as long as you're blaming someone else, you're giving away your power. You're handing your control to people who don't care about your growth. You're saying, "I'm not in charge here." And that mindset will keep you stuck forever. The truth is hard, but it's the truth. You are where you are because of your decisions. You are not a victim of your surroundings. You are a result of your standards, your habits, your choices, your actions. Blaming others is easy. It makes you feel better for a little while. It removes the pressure. It keeps your ego safe, but it also keeps you weak. It blinds you from what needs to be fixed. It delays the lessons, and it guarantees that nothing improves. People spend years pointing fingers at their parents, their teachers, their bosses, their partners, the government, the economy, the world. And what do they get in return? Nothing but frustration, resentment, and the same exact results. You have to wake up to this. Nobody owes you the life you want. Nobody is coming to rescue you. Nobody is responsible for your choices but you. Life is hard for everyone. Everyone has reasons to quit. Everyone has people who let them down. The difference between the ones who rise and the ones who stay stuck is simple. The ones who rise take ownership, full ownership. They stop explaining. They stop complaining. They stop blaming. They say, "This is my life. It's on me now." And that shift changes everything. You can't control how people treat you. You can't rewrite the past. You can't stop every problem. But you can always control how you respond. That's where your power is. That's where your progress begins. You start by asking the hard questions. What did I allow? What did I ignore? Where did I fall short? What could I have done better? That's not self-hate. That's maturity. That's what responsible people do. They face the mirror, not to judge, but to grow. They understand that responsibility is not blame. It's power. Every result in your life is feedback. You're either getting what you want, or you're getting proof that you need to level up. And both are useful if you're honest enough to look at them without excuses. You didn't reach your goal. Don't blame distractions. Fix your focus. You didn't get the opportunity. Don't blame the system. Build your value. Your business didn't work out. Don't blame the market. Strengthen your skills. Your relationship ended. Don't blame the other person for everything. Own your part. Improve yourself. This is the mindset that separates winners from talkers. You stop justifying your results. You stop repeating the same stories. You stop living like life is happening to you. And you start building the mindset that says, everything is up to me. That's not pressure. That's freedom. That means you don't have to wait on anyone to fix your life. You don't have to depend on luck. You don't have to beg for change. You create it. The moment you drop blame, you create space for solutions. You start thinking differently. You start asking better questions. You start taking better actions. You stop wasting time on things you can't control and start doubling down on what you can. That's how growth happens. That's how progress speeds up. That's how your life transforms, through ownership. No more complaining about what didn't go right. No more focusing on who didn't support you. No more thinking about what should have happened. What happened is done. What matters now is what you choose to do about it. And that choice is always yours. You're in the driver's seat now. You're in charge of how this story ends. This mindset is rare. Most people don't want to carry that kind of responsibility. It feels heavy at first. It forces you to grow up. It pushes you to confront your own patterns. But that's the only way to gain real strength. You don't build a better life by blaming. You build it by building yourself. Stronger habits, stronger standards, stronger thinking. And all of that comes from deciding that nobody else is responsible for your direction anymore. You can always make excuses. You can always explain why something didn't work. But those explanations don't move your life forward. Only action does. Only focus does. Only discipline does. The people who get things done don't spend time explaining. They spend time executing. That's how they move fast. That's how they evolve. That's how they win. You've already wasted time in the blame mindset. You've seen where it leads. Now it's time to do something different. Now it's time to own everything. Not just the easy stuff. Not just the successes. The failures too. The setbacks. The missed chances. The bad decisions. That's where real growth lives, in the things most people run from. You are not a victim. Even when life gets unfair, you still have the power to respond with strength. Even when people disappoint you, you still have the choice to rise. Even when everything falls apart, you can choose to rebuild. That choice never goes away. And the more you use it, the stronger you get. This mindset doesn't just change how you live. It changes how you feel. You start to feel capable again. You start to feel clear. You start to feel powerful. Because now you're not waiting on anyone. You're not stuck in the past. You're not tied to what went wrong. You're focused on what's next. And that focus builds momentum. That momentum creates results. And those results create a life that makes you proud. You stop saying they didn't support me. And you start saying, I'll support myself. You stop saying they never gave me a chance. And you start saying, I'll create my own opportunities. You stop saying they hurt me. And you start saying, I've learned. I've grown, I've moved forward. That shift is everything. That's what separates people who live in frustration from people who live in strength. You don't need anyone else to give you permission to own your life. You just need to decide, right here, right now, that from this point forward you will take full control. You will stop blaming. You will stop waiting. You will stop excusing. You will start building. You will start learning. You will start becoming the person who creates the results they want, not the one who complains about what they didn't get. You will feel resistance. Your mind will want to go back to the old way. It will want to blame. It will want to defend your ego. It will want to protect your comfort. But comfort won't get you anywhere. Blame won't give you peace. Only progress will. Only truth will. Only ownership will. So lean into that. Choose that. Act from that. And don't look back. Everything that happened before today is done. It's not coming back. But today is yours, and tomorrow is yours. And every choice you make now determines what comes next. Own it all. Own the missed chances. Own the lazy days. Own the wasted time. Then do something about it. Move, build, execute. Show yourself who you really are. You are capable of creating a better life, not by blaming others, but by facing yourself, by correcting your patterns, by raising your standard, by living with full accountability. That's where your freedom is. That's where your strength comes from. That's what puts you in a position to build anything you want. This is not about perfection. This is about leadership, self-leadership. You lead yourself when you stop looking for someone else to carry the weight. You lead yourself when you stop expecting someone else to make things right. You lead yourself when you say, "This is on me now and I'm ready." You are not weak. You are not broken. You just need to stop holding on to blame and start picking up the responsibility that was always yours. That's where your power lives. And once you take it, you'll never want to give it up again, because nothing feels better than knowing you built your life, not because someone handed it to you, but because you owned every moment of it, every failure, every lesson, every success, every result. That's your power now. Use it fully, without fear, without apology, without hesitation. Chapter 16. Pursue difficult goals to develop lasting inner confidence. Confidence is not something you wake up with. It's not something someone can hand you. It's not built by compliments or validation. Real confidence comes from doing hard things. It's built in the process of pursuing goals that stretch you, goals that force you to become someone better than you were. The kind of goals that scare you a little, challenge you a lot, and require more than you thought you had. That's where lasting confidence is born, not in ease, not in comfort, in pressure, in uncertainty, in effort. When you chase easy goals, you don't grow. You stay in a loop of familiar tasks that don't require much from you. You might feel busy, but you're not becoming more. You're just staying in motion, without building strength. And deep down you know it. You feel that lack of growth. You feel the doubt. You feel the disappointment of knowing you've settled. That's what eats away at your confidence. Not failure, but avoidance. Not losing, but never stepping into the game at all. The only way to respect yourself is to challenge yourself. And the only way to grow your belief is to prove to yourself that you can handle more than what's comfortable. That belief is earned through work, through discipline, through commitment to something difficult that most people won't even attempt. The confidence you're looking for doesn't come from winning easy battles. It comes from pushing through the ones that feel impossible. You gain a different kind of pride when you chase something that demands everything from you. Something that makes you question yourself, test your limits, and push through resistance every day. That process forges your character. It forces you to improve. It requires you to sharpen your thinking, upgrade your discipline, and stay focused when it would be easier to quit. That's the work that creates confidence, not in what you say, but in what you know about yourself, because you've earned it. You stop looking for approval. You stop needing reassurance. You start standing taller because you know you've done the work. You've shown up. You've stayed the course. And that history of discipline is what fuels your confidence. That's the difference between fake confidence and real confidence. Fake confidence comes from pretending. Real confidence comes from proving. You don't need to prove anything to others. You need to prove it to yourself. You need to look in the mirror and know you've been showing up with intensity, that you've kept your word, that you've been doing things that challenge you, that truth changes how you carry yourself, because it's built on evidence, not emotion. You can't build confidence in isolation. You can't think your way into belief. You need struggle. You need failure. You need long days. You need early mornings. You need to feel that pressure. You need to wake up and chase something that most people would walk away from. You need to hold a high standard and match it with your actions. That's how confidence is earned. Pick a goal that makes you nervous. Something that excites you and scares you at the same time. Something you've avoided. Something you've told yourself you're not ready for. Start there. Then commit to the process. Not for a week. Not for a month. Commit for as long as it takes. That's what builds belief. That's what gives your effort meaning. You don't become strong by doing things you already know how to do. You become strong by stepping into the unknown, by risking failure, by embracing the discomfort that comes with growth. That discomfort is where most people stop, but that's exactly where you start to change. That's the turning point. You'll face resistance. You'll feel like quitting. You'll doubt yourself. But that's the cost of growth. That's the price of confidence. It's not cheap. It doesn't come easy. It's paid for in sweat, in time, in focus. And every time you pay that price, you become someone you respect more. You need goals that require your best. Goals that keep you up at night. Goals that force you to learn, adapt, evolve. That's how you stop being average. That's how you build a mindset that refuses to settle. That's how you start to feel confident, not just in moments, but consistently. Confidence is built through results. It's built through completion. It's built through keeping promises to yourself. And the bigger the promise, the more powerful the confidence you build when you keep it. That's why you should aim higher, not for others, for yourself. You need something that reminds you that you're capable of more. Comfort kills belief. You stop trusting yourself when you stop challenging yourself. Because deep down, you know when you're coasting. You know when you're avoiding. You know when you're playing small. That knowledge eats away at your confidence. But the opposite is also true. You know when you're pushing. You know when you're committed. You know when you're improving. That knowledge builds a quiet kind of pride that no one can take away. Confidence doesn't come from the result. It comes from the journey, from the long hours, from the failure and the recovery, from the repetition, from the days when you didn't feel like it, but showed up anyway. That process creates a different version of you, a version that's grounded, a version that's focused, a version that knows what they're made of, because they've been tested. You don't need to talk about your goals. You don't need to announce your plans. You just need to get to work. Let the process shape you. Let the challenge change you. Let the difficulty sharpen you. That's what matters. That's where the transformation happens. The moment you start chasing a goal that forces you to grow, you begin to distance yourself from the version of you that settles. You begin to replace self-doubt with discipline. You begin to replace fear with action. And over time, that shift becomes permanent. Not because everything went perfectly, but because you never stopped moving forward. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be focused. You don't need to feel confident to act. You need to act to feel confident. That's the key. Action first. Results second. Belief third. That's the order. Most people get it backward. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident, and they never move. You don't have that luxury anymore. You move first. You trust that the confidence will catch up, and it will, as long as you keep doing the work. This process won't be easy. It's not supposed to be, but that's why it works. That's why it matters. That's why it builds something real. You'll have days when you question everything. Days when you feel like it's not worth it. That's normal. That's part of the test. Keep going. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. You're not just building skill. You're building belief. You're not just chasing a goal. You're becoming someone who doesn't flinch. Someone who follows through. Someone who doesn't wait for permission. Someone who sets the bar and rises to meet it. That's how confidence is built. In silence, in solitude, in struggle, through early mornings, late nights, and full days, through doubt, failure, correction, and persistence, through challenge after challenge, until you've become someone who doesn't stop. That's who you're becoming now. That's what you're building. You don't need anyone to believe in you. You need to believe in yourself. And that belief will not come from words. It will come from your habits, from your actions, from your results, from the hard things you choose to pursue. Stop aiming low. Stop settling for what's easy. Set a goal that forces you to grow. Then chase it with everything you've got. That's the path to real, lasting confidence. That's the kind of strength no one can take from you. That's the life worth building. That's the you worth becoming. Keep going. Keep building. Keep proving it to yourself. Every single day. Chapter 17. Reject the victimhood mindset and reclaim control of your life. The victimhood mindset is one of the most dangerous mental traps a person can fall into. It keeps you weak, it keeps you small, and it keeps you dependent. It convinces you that life is something that just happens to you, that people are the problem, that circumstances are permanent, that you're powerless and stuck, and the more you believe that, the more it becomes your reality. The victim mindset is subtle. It shows up in your excuses, in your stories, in your blame, in the way you talk about what's wrong in your life, like it's outside your control. But the truth is, the moment you accept the victim role, you give away the one thing that could change everything, your power to act. You cannot grow and remain a victim. You cannot lead your life and stay stuck in blame. You cannot rise while pointing fingers. At some point, you have to look yourself in the mirror and decide that no matter what happened, no matter who hurt you, no matter what life took from you, you are done living beneath your potential. You are done carrying the weight of your pain like it's your identity. You are done waiting for someone else to change so your life can improve. That moment of decision is where you take your power back. That's where control begins. Control doesn't mean things are perfect. It doesn't mean life goes your way all the time. It means that no matter what happens, you respond with strength. You move forward with clarity. You own your next step. You stop repeating what went wrong and start creating what's right. You stop wasting energy on who's to blame and focus on what needs to be done. That's how winners think. That's how leaders operate. That's how people rise from nothing and build something great. You're not owed anything. Life doesn't owe you fairness. People don't owe you apologies. The world doesn't owe you understanding. But you owe it to yourself to rise above what you've been through, to refuse to carry that pain into every part of your future, to let go of the identity that says, "This happened to me so I can't change." That's not truth. That's fear pretending to be truth. That's weakness disguising itself as safety. That's comfort that's turned into a cage. The hardest thing you'll ever do is stop blaming and start owning. Because blaming feels good. It takes the pressure off. It makes you feel justified. But it also leaves you stuck. You can't fix anything when you believe it's someone else's job to repair it. You can't grow when you believe the problem is out there. Progress starts the moment you say, "It's on me now." That shift is everything. It doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't excuse people's actions. It doesn't rewrite your past. But it makes you the authority over your future. Victimhood is addictive. It creates attention. It gives you sympathy. It allows you to avoid effort. But it steals your peace. It steals your growth. It destroys your discipline. It trains you to wait instead of act. It convinces you to stay where you are, instead of fight for where you want to be. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to leave. That's why you have to cut it off immediately. No more poor me. No more they did this to me. No more this always happens. That narrative has to die for you to live. Reclaiming control means making decisions most people avoid. It means being brutally honest about your habits, your mindset, your discipline. It means asking what part you played in your situation. It means looking at your routines and asking, are these helping me or hurting me? That kind of honesty hurts at first, but it sets you free. It gives you direction. It allows you to stop repeating patterns and start building a new path. You're not powerless. You're just disconnected from your power. You've spent too long repeating your problems instead of creating solutions. That ends now. You start speaking differently. You start acting with clarity. You start living like someone who's in charge of their day, not controlled by it. That kind of person doesn't wait to feel better. They build better. That kind of person doesn't complain about what's missing. They create what they need. That kind of person doesn't play the victim. They play the builder, the fighter, the leader. You're allowed to feel pain. You're allowed to hurt. But you're not allowed to stay there. You're not allowed to let that pain define the rest of your life. You don't need to get even. You need to get focused. You don't need to explain your past. You need to build your future. You don't need to replay the stories of what went wrong. You need to write the story of what's going right. And that starts by reclaiming your energy, your thoughts, your voice, your decisions. Start where you are, right now, with what you have, with whatever strength you can find. That's enough. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a full map. You just need to move. One action at a time. One decision at a time. You need to act like your life depends on it, because it does. The life you want doesn't happen by chance. It happens by full accountability. By taking ownership when it's hard. By showing up when it's unfair. By building what wasn't given. This is your responsibility now. Your healing. Your habits. Your progress. No one is coming to carry you. No one is going to rescue you from your thoughts. You have to do that. You have to build new beliefs. You have to practice new patterns. You have to say no to the version of you that keeps choosing weakness. You have to make strength your new standard. Don't let your past become your personality. Don't let what happened become who you are. You are not your mistakes. You are not your story. You are not what they said. You are not what they did. You are what you choose to become starting right now. And that choice must be rooted in strength, in responsibility, in power. That choice must be made every single day, without exception. Wake up and choose ownership. Choose effort. Choose mindset. Reject everything that sounds like "I can't" or "they made me." Remove the phrases that keep you small. Eliminate the thinking that keeps you trapped. No more letting your past justify your present. No more dragging pain into your progress. It's time to think, move, and act like someone who leads themselves. That's how you rise. That's how you break free. That's how you reclaim your life. Every time you feel the urge to blame, stop, catch it, redirect it. Ask, what can I do about it? Every time you feel the victim voice getting louder, drown it out with action, with a workout, with a hard task, with a move forward. Don't sit in it. Don't feed it. Don't give it space. Replace it, over and over, until strength is your default, until ownership is your habit, until you no longer need to convince yourself you're in control, because your results already prove it. You are responsible for your energy, for your discipline, for your reaction, for your habits, for your time, for your future. And that responsibility is not a burden. It's your power. It's the one thing nobody can take from you. They can lie about you. They can walk away. They can try to tear you down. But they can't make your choices. They can't control your mindset. They can't stop your growth unless you give them permission. So stop giving away your power. Stop looking for sympathy. Stop needing approval. Stop expecting change from people who don't want it for themselves. You are the only one who can rescue yourself from a mindset that's been keeping you small. And the moment you do, everything changes. You start living with clarity. You stop negotiating with discipline. You stop needing life to be fair, because you've decided to be strong. You stop waiting for the right time, because you've made right now enough. That's when momentum hits. That's when peace returns. That's when you feel alive again. Not because everything is fixed, but because you finally took the wheel. You owe it to yourself to lead. You owe it to yourself to rise. You owe it to yourself to break the chains of victimhood and replace them with purpose. Let today be the line. Before now, blame ran your life. After now, responsibility builds it. And that shift will take you further than anyone's approval ever could. Own it. Live it. Lead with it. From this moment forward. Chapter 18. Walk away from weak-minded people holding back your growth. Growth requires separation. It requires you to make uncomfortable choices. It demands that you stop carrying dead weight. Weak-minded people are not just a distraction. They are a threat to your future. They drain your energy. They challenge your discipline. They feed your doubt. And the longer you stay around them, the harder it becomes to believe in yourself. You start adopting their excuses. You start mirroring their behaviors. You start lowering your standards to keep the peace. That's not growth. That's self-sabotage. You cannot become who you were meant to be while surrounding yourself with people who are committed to staying average. There are people who will never understand your hunger. People who will always see your effort as a threat. People who are so used to losing that your desire to win makes them uncomfortable. They don't want to rise, and they don't want to see you rise either. Their mindset is built on comfort, on shortcuts, on staying the same, and the moment you start changing, they feel exposed. Your discipline reminds them of their laziness. Your progress reminds them of their delay. Your vision makes them question their excuses. That's not your problem. That's their responsibility. Your job is not to make them feel better about staying stuck. Your job is to grow. You cannot change people who don't want to grow. You cannot motivate someone who is committed to complaining. You cannot lead someone who is addicted to weakness. You can care about people, but you can't carry them. You can respect people, but you don't have to stay around them. Every day you spend explaining your growth is a day wasted. Every time you defend your discipline to someone who doesn't get it, you drain your focus. Every moment you give to people who mock your ambition is a moment you've stolen from your future. It's not about being better than them. It's about choosing better for yourself. There comes a point when you have to protect your mind, protect your goals, protect your energy. And sometimes that protection looks like distance. You don't need to fight. You don't need to argue. You just need to walk, quietly, decisively, without apology. Not because you're angry, but because you're clear. Weak-minded people will try to pull you back into their level of thinking. They'll tell you you've changed like it's a bad thing. They'll remind you of who you used to be, because that version didn't make them feel uncomfortable. They'll tell you you're being too intense, too focused, too serious. But what they're really saying is, you're making me question my life, and I don't want to face it. Don't shrink for that. Don't slow down for that. Don't soften your ambition to make someone else feel more comfortable in their failure. You don't owe anyone access to your growth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your standards. You don't have to keep weak-minded people in your circle just because you've known them for years. Time doesn't equal alignment. Just because someone was in your past doesn't mean they belong in your future. And the longer you try to drag people forward who don't want to grow, the more they'll slow you down. Growth requires space. Growth requires truth. Growth requires hard choices. That's the reality of this path. You can care from a distance. You can love people without letting them influence your progress. But you must be honest. Who in your life is feeding your strength? Who is reinforcing your discipline? Who is challenging you to be better? And who is pulling you back into old habits? Who is making you question your standards? Who is speaking weakness into your mind? Be clear. Be ruthless with that clarity, because your future depends on it. You don't need a large circle. You need a strong one. You need people who respect your time, who respect your vision, who respect your effort. You need people who speak growth, not gossip. Focus, not fear. Progress, not problems. And until you find those people, it's better to walk alone. You will never become powerful by staying surrounded by people who fear strength. You will never stay sharp by keeping people around who celebrate mediocrity. At some point your hunger has to become more important than their comfort. This isn't about being cold. It's about being serious. About your time. About your goals. About your life. You don't get these years back. You don't get another shot at this season. And you're not here to waste it explaining your purpose to people who are too lazy to find their own. You're here to build, to grow, to elevate. And every second you spend dragging someone who doesn't want to move is time you've stolen from that purpose. There's a cost to keeping people around just to feel liked. That cost is your progress. That cost is your standards. That cost is your future. You've seen what happens when you lower your pace to match the people around you. You start thinking like them. You start moving like them. You start feeling unmotivated, undisciplined, unclear. That's not a coincidence. That's your environment shaping your identity. You want to grow, then fix the environment. Remove the voices that keep pulling you down. Add pressure, not pity. Add challenge, not comfort. Add accountability, not excuses. You know who they are. The ones who laugh at your discipline. The ones who dismiss your goals. The ones who always have a reason why something can't be done. They don't see the world the way you do. They don't value what you value. And you keep hoping they'll change, that they'll see it eventually, that they'll grow. But they won't. Not until they want to. And until that happens, you're wasting your time trying to lift someone who doesn't want to stand. It's not your job to fix anyone. Your job is to become the strongest, clearest, most disciplined version of yourself. That's the standard. That's the focus. And anything that interferes with that needs to go. You don't ask for permission. You don't need their blessing. You choose to grow because you've seen what happens when you don't. You choose to separate because you've felt the pain of staying stuck. You don't have to make a scene. You don't have to explain your decision. Just stop showing up where your values don't fit. Stop pouring energy into people who waste it. Stop sacrificing your momentum for the sake of loyalty. Loyalty doesn't mean staying the same. Loyalty means pushing each other to rise. And when that doesn't exist, it's time to walk. Growth is lonely at first. You'll miss the company. You'll question your decision. You'll feel the pull to go back. But keep walking. Keep building. Keep becoming. Because what's on the other side of that walk is a life where you're surrounded by strength. Where you don't have to shrink. Where you don't have to explain. Where you're supported, challenged and respected. That life is only possible when you stop carrying what's been holding you back. You don't need to be cruel. You need to be committed to your discipline, to your standard, to your purpose. That's what matters now. You're not here to convince anyone to grow. You're here to live with such focus that it either inspires them or separates them. Either way you win. Either way you move forward. Either way you protect your future. This is your life, your time, your story. And the people in it will either elevate you or limit you. Be honest about which ones are doing what. Then act on it. Quickly, without guilt, without delay. Walk away from anything that's slowing you down. Walk toward the version of you that doesn't apologize for growing. That doesn't tolerate weakness. That doesn't stay small to make others comfortable. You don't owe them your future. You owe yourself your full potential. Start acting like it. Today. Without looking back. Without regret. Without hesitation. Just you. Your goals, your discipline, and the strength to keep going alone until the right people show up. And they will, but only once you've made space by letting go of the ones who never belonged there. Chapter 19. Train yourself daily to handle discomfort without complaining. Discomfort is the real test of who you are and what you're capable of. Anyone can be motivated when everything feels good. Anyone can smile when things are easy, but that's not where strength is built. Strength is built when things hurt and you keep going, when nothing feels right and you don't complain, when the day hits you hard and you refuse to back down. That's the standard you need to live by. Not a life of comfort, but a life of control. Not a life of ease, but a life of effort. And that control is only built through one thing: daily training, daily discipline, daily exposure to discomfort until your mind stops breaking under it. You've got to stop running from hard things. You've got to stop whining about pressure. You've got to stop flinching every time something feels uncomfortable. That's the mindset that's been keeping you stuck. The people who win in life aren't the ones who avoid pain. They're the ones who train through it, who condition themselves to show up anyway, who turn discomfort into their environment and stop needing everything to be perfect before they take action. You will never be free from discomfort. Life is filled with it. Pressure, rejection, uncertainty, loss, pain. You can't avoid those things, but you can prepare for them. You can train your response to them. You can develop the habit of acting in spite of how you feel. You do that by exposing yourself to daily struggle, on purpose. Not waiting for life to test you, but stepping into the test every day by choice. That's how mental toughness is built. Not by talking about it. Not by reading about it. By living it. Wake up early when your body wants to sleep. Train hard when your mind wants comfort. Stick to your plan when your emotions want ease. Show up to the work when nobody's watching. That's where it begins. That's how you stop being soft. That's how you stop giving up over little things. You stop looking for ways out and start looking for ways through. You stop asking for everything to feel better and start asking for yourself to become better. Most people complain their way through challenges. They waste energy explaining why it's hard. They spend time looking for sympathy. They want others to feel bad for them. But all that does is weaken their response. It trains them to break instead of adapt. It trains them to look for escape instead of growth. That's the opposite of discipline. You want to be strong. Learn to suffer in silence. Learn to keep moving without complaining. Learn to hold your standard without needing applause. You do this by making hard things normal. Every day you put yourself in positions that stretch your tolerance. You don't avoid resistance, you pursue it. You don't lower the bar to stay comfortable. You raise it to become stronger. You stop waiting to feel ready and start acting regardless of how you feel. The discomfort doesn't go away, but it stops controlling you. It becomes part of the process. You begin to respect it because you know it's shaping you. Every time you step into discomfort and stay focused, you train your mind to stop reacting emotionally. You build the habit of composure, of calm, of execution under pressure. That kind of training pays off in every area of your life. Business, fitness, relationships. You stop panicking in stress. You stop retreating in fear. You stop quitting when things get inconvenient. You lead with poise. You move with control. You become dependable, not just to others, but to yourself. Most people live soft because they never train hard. They think discomfort is something to avoid, something that means they're doing something wrong. But discomfort is the price of every breakthrough. You want to level up. You want to build something real. Then expect to suffer. Expect it to burn. Expect to be stretched. But don't complain about it. Get stronger because of it. That shift in mindset changes your entire approach. You don't just tolerate discomfort. You learn to welcome it. Because now you understand it's where the growth is. It's where the confidence comes from. It's where you earn the self-respect you've been missing. Not through ease, but through effort that challenges every part of you. That kind of pressure reveals your gaps. And once you see the gaps, you get to fix them. That's how you grow. That's how you evolve. The more you train your mind to handle pressure without complaining, the more you rise in life. Because while everyone else is breaking down, you're staying solid. While others are falling apart, you're staying focused. While others are searching for comfort, you're building capacity. You don't need everything to be easier. You just need to be more disciplined. You don't need less stress. You need more structure. You don't need more motivation. You need more consistency. This mindset is built one day at a time, one decision at a time, one discipline at a time. You choose the harder path, not to suffer for no reason, but to prepare for the challenges life will throw your way. That's how warriors are made. That's how leaders are built. Through pressure, through silence, through work that nobody else sees. And you get better every time you don't break, every time you stay steady, every time you choose execution over emotion. Your greatest weapon is your ability to act without needing to feel comfortable. That's how you separate from the weak. That's how you get ahead when others are falling behind. They're waiting to feel ready. You're building strength while it's hard. They're whining about the pain. You're turning the pain into fuel. They're explaining their struggles. You're executing through yours. The best version of you lives on the other side of discomfort, and you get there by walking through it, without looking for shortcuts. You stop avoiding the cold, and you train your body to handle it. You stop running from fatigue, and you teach your mind to move anyway. You stop flinching under pressure, and you teach yourself to stay focused. That's training. That's discipline. That's the real game. Every day you have a chance to sharpen your edge, or to soften it. Every time you complain, you weaken it. Every time you step up with action instead, you strengthen it. You don't rise by feeling good. You rise by becoming good at handling what most people avoid. The early hours, the tough conversations, the hard workouts, the long days, the boring routines, the moments that feel like too much. That's where champions are built. Not in comfort, in commitment. You don't need to post about the grind. You need to live it. You don't need to tell anyone how hard you're working. You just need to finish what you start, no matter how it feels. You don't need the world to know you're suffering. You need the world to see your results. That's how you win. That's how you lead. That's how you earn respect without ever asking for it. You're going to feel discomfort every day, but the question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to back off? Are you going to complain? Are you going to delay? Or are you going to face it head on and push anyway? That's the choice. That's the difference between someone who rises and someone who stays stuck. Train yourself to be calm in chaos. Train yourself to be steady in storms. Train yourself to keep moving when your emotions want to stop. Train yourself to endure without talking about how hard it is. The more you live this way, the more unstoppable you become, because now you're not depending on comfort. Now you're depending on character. That's the goal. Build character strong enough to carry you through anything. Build habits that don't crack under pressure. Build discipline so deep that complaining becomes foreign to you. Every day is an opportunity to become that person. And every time you act with strength in discomfort, you're getting closer. You don't need life to get easier. You need to get better at facing what's hard. That's where your power is. That's where your growth lives. That's the mindset that changes everything. Handle it. Train through it. Stay focused. No complaints, just discipline, just action, just forward movement, no matter what, every single day. Chapter 20. Make bold decisions and never second-guess your resolve. Bold decisions are what separate people who lead their lives from those who just follow the flow. A weak mind hesitates, overthinks, and drowns in doubt, but a strong one moves with clarity and purpose. You will never reach your full potential by sitting in the middle. You will never build a meaningful life by waiting to feel certain before you move. The best progress in life comes from the decision to go all in, to stand behind your choice, and to never waste time second-guessing once you've committed. That's the discipline that builds success. That's the mindset that keeps you moving forward while others freeze. Every time you hesitate, you lose momentum. Every time you go back and forth on a decision you already made, you weaken your confidence. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure at least teaches. Doubt just delays. And delay becomes a habit. You don't need more time to decide. You need more courage to trust yourself. Bold decisions don't come from knowing everything. They come from knowing you're going to figure it out. That no matter how it goes, you'll adjust, adapt, and continue. That belief is what sets you apart. You are not here to tiptoe through life. You're not here to stay in the safe zone. That's where people go to feel comfortable, not fulfilled. The life you want won't come to the one who plays it safe. It belongs to the one who's willing to take a real risk. The one who says, "I'm doing this, and I'll make it work." That's not recklessness. That's commitment. That's trust in your ability to face whatever comes. That's a standard of action that refuses to apologize for having ambition. Indecision is a slow form of destruction. It feels harmless, but it chips away at your time, your energy, and your belief. You sit on ideas. You wait for signs. You ask for opinions. You rethink the same choice 10 times. That's how people stay stuck for years. You've seen it. You've done it. You've wasted hours replaying something you already knew you should have acted on. That ends now. From this point forward, you act. With speed, with strength, without seeking endless reassurance. Your life doesn't change from thinking more. It changes from doing more. You can't study your way into clarity. You have to move. You have to choose. You have to draw the line. And once the decision is made, you shut the door on doubt. You don't go back to it. You don't entertain second thoughts. You take that energy and pour it into execution. That's how results are built. Not from perfect decisions, but from bold ones that are followed through with relentless action. You won't always have all the answers. You won't always feel ready. But you can train yourself to act in spite of that. You can train yourself to move with confidence that's built on discipline, not emotion. The people who win are not the smartest or the most talented. They're the most committed. They make a call and they stick to it. They don't entertain alternatives. They move like it's already done. That level of certainty is a choice, and it's available to you right now. You have to stop talking yourself out of your own ideas. Stop feeding your fear with overthinking. Stop giving yourself permission to delay. You know what you want. You know what needs to be done. The issue isn't clarity. The issue is courage. And courage is only built when you move in the face of fear, not when you wait for it to go away. Every bold move you make builds your identity. It shapes how you see yourself. When you decide quickly and act with power, you begin to see yourself as someone who leads, as someone who follows through, as someone who doesn't live on the sidelines. That shift in identity is what creates consistency, and consistency is what produces results. You need to stop giving so much weight to other people's opinions. Everyone will have something to say. Most people are projecting their own fear. Most people aren't living with purpose. So don't expect them to understand yours. The bold path is often misunderstood. That's fine. Let them talk. You focus on action. You focus on building. You focus on doing what most people won't. You've waited long enough. You've spent enough time thinking about what you could do. Now it's time to make the move. Decide on the business. Make the phone call. Apply for the job. Start the routine. Say yes to the challenge. Say no to the distraction. Whatever the decision is, make it. Not next week. Now, not because you're certain it'll be perfect. Because you're committed to making it work. You don't need a backup plan. You need a full plan, followed with full force. The safety net keeps you soft. It keeps you half in. That's not where power comes from. Power comes from full immersion, from removing your escape routes, from choosing to go forward, no matter what. That's how you build resilience. That's how you find your strength. Stop treating your decisions like they're fragile. Stop waiting for perfection. Make your move, and make it strong. Because the longer you wait, the more fear grows, the more noise takes over. And that's how people lose years of their life, by staying in neutral. You're not here for that. You're here to build a life that reflects your discipline, your clarity, and your refusal to settle. Start small if you have to, but start with power. Start with certainty. Start with the decision that says, I'm not going back. That's the line. That's what changes everything. Not because the task itself is massive, but because the mindset behind it is solid. You become unstoppable when you stop negotiating with your goals. You become consistent when you stop entertaining doubt after you've committed. You become elite when you follow through, without explanation, without delay, and without emotional noise. The people who build the most meaningful lives are the ones who made bold decisions and never looked back. They didn't wait for validation. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't need everything to make sense. They moved, and they kept moving. That's what you need. That's what it takes. That's the standard now. You want peace? Make bold decisions and stand behind them. You want progress? Stop second-guessing and start executing. You want pride? Choose the hard path and walk it without hesitation. You want purpose? Build your life with decisions that reflect your values, not your fears. You want confidence? Do the hard thing and finish it. That's the truth. That's the path, and it's yours to walk right now. You don't need more time. You need more courage. You don't need another opinion. You need to trust your own. You don't need to feel fearless. You need to move with your fear and not let it stop you. That's how boldness works. That's how strength is built. That's how a powerful life is created. One decision at a time, made with clarity, and lived without apology. So make the call, make the move, and never look back.